After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Serving as home to NASCAR and most NASCAR teams, the Charlotte Motor Speedway has long been an oval racer's bucket list item as a must-win. A new season for the Bluegrass iRacing series means a new opportunity for these sim racers to win on stock car racing's home field, returning to the site of Tyler Johnson's lone 2020 Bluegrass victory. Welcome, race fans. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV. Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton join me virtually on the mic this evening. Corey Rexford is on social media coverage, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Bluegrass iRacing series. We thank you for tuning in across our multiple platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and we join you tonight from the virtual Concord, North Carolina for the 6th round of the Bluegrass iRacing series. Trey, I think this is the first time we're welcoming both of you guys into the booth for the 2021 season of the Bluegrass iRacing series, at least the 2020/2021 series, season 2 we'll call it. And boy, a lot's changed, I think, since we've had both you guys in the booth, but of course, Shuttlesworth, you've been here with us for a lot of the season so far, here and there as our social media guy. Pat, and you've been in and out, I'm sure, as a viewer as well. A lot has happened, and it gives us these point standings that we're looking at now. And it's a very different format as well. We're used to seeing just 10 drivers on this list. We've changed that so you can see the entire top 20, which is relevant because we have the top 16 moving into a playoff format very, very soon. Sooner than you might think here, Trey, as, we're going to cut those bottom 4 on that graphic in front of you. You see, the 4 blue names, they've all won a race. Brandon Robertson, Alan Dobbs, Casey Barlow, and Justin Winters. John Kinder, the first one on the outside looking in as far as the winner category, but boy is he safe by 72 points right now from 17th place Nick Mills. It's all setting up for a very interesting afternoon underneath the North Carolina sun.
Are going to be really fun to follow over the next 7 races. You talked about the top of the leaderboard right now, the fact that John Kinder is it's almost 2 races clear of the playoff cutoff for the time being. But you look at the cutoff, and we actually have a tie between Bryce Hunter and Nick Mills for that last spot, so that's going to be fun to follow, and there's a lot of guys within pretty close proximity to that cutoff, so it's going to be pretty fun to follow over the next 7 weeks.
Yeah, following up on that, like I said, or like you said before, it's been a minute since I've been since I've been with Bluegrass, but as you said, I have been following the series as a fan. These guys have been putting on a heck of a show. Last week was an excellent show, and I can't wait to see what these guys do. Looking at this points battle, Nick Mills, Bryce Hunter, and David Brackett right there, pretty close within a tie and 6 points. Every position is going to matter going into this playoffs soon, and just like I said, every position is going to matter going into that, so we're going to see some tight battles.
Don't just look south of that cutoff line, look north as well. Adam Lancaster only 1 point safe right now from that 2-way tie at the cutoff line. Nicholas Noggle, he's not far out. Joshua Abbey even 10 points to that gap. Only 12 points for CJ Mason. Everything very, very close. Gary Jazorski just over 10 back. He's actually 11 points out of the playoffs right now. And Ryan Kendall only 2 more points back, 13 total. So everything very tight from about, we'll say, 11th through 20th. And that's excluding everybody 21st on back. So a lot can still happen in this run to the playoffs. We thank you for joining us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, virtually anyway, for the 6th round of the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Qualifying underway so far. Adam Lancaster, the fastest on the racetrack. You see Ryan Kendall there slowing down and finishing up his run. Here's last week's winner, Alan Dobbs. Trey Patton, you mentioned the show last week at Kansas. The first, I think we can say almost caution-free race of the season. There's that little asterisk of there was the caution at halfway, but it fit right in with the stage break. It was a big step forward in terms of just getting a lot of clean green racing, and that really allowed Alan Dobbs to come forth and show his speed as he does here as well. What a segue. He puts down a 29.003. Oh man, so close to that 28-second lap time. but he does put it on pole ahead of Adam Lancaster, Bryce Hunter, John Kinder, Nicholas Noggle. 4 names that are all well within that points battle conversation as well. John Kinder for being so far ahead, but Lancaster, Hunter, and Noggle for being so close to that cutoff line. If we go back towards the bottom of the standings so far, still a lot of cars to put down their qualifying times. Brian Terry, one of those, he's on the racetrack now. Nathan Maurer, he's out there. Wyatt Brackett, and it looks like Matt Chineri is joining the racetrack. A lot of cars yet to set a lap time. Here's Brian Terry.
So we will see Terry here come across the start-finish line, and as you said, it should be the commencement of his qualifying run. But yeah, this 15-minute window allows a lot of opportunity for drivers to go out there, and if they do have a mistake before they come to the timing line, they can very simply reset their car, to down onto the pit road, and try it again once more. We're gonna continue to ride on board as we go into the entry at turn 3. You'll probably notice for the most part here in qualifying, though, that the fast laps are probably going to be lap 2. That's just due to the current rules package in place for the NASCAR Cup Car stock cars in real life, and both on the iRacing.com service. 550 horsepower is available, so the engine is still taking its time and getting wound up on the first lap, which makes the second lap oh so essential to make sure you nail your line and nail your markers if you do have to let off at all.
Yeah, this roll package really makes a difference, and some 1.5-mile tracks you are full throttle and everything, and some of them you do have to lift a little bit, as we're on board with Nathan Maurer right now. See him going into the turn 1 and 2 there. You see the RPMs on the left side of your screen. You can see where he's lifting off that throttle and then getting back into the gas. You don't want to do that too quick, because that will upset the car and most likely send you up the track. Depending on how you have your steering wheel set, it could send you down the track and spinning.
And one thing I noticed on the backstretch here is Maurer constricted his exit out of turn 2, kept the car a little bit further down the racetrack, didn't wash out all the way, running the shortest line he possibly can without scrubbing too much speed. It pays off for Maurer. He goes into the top 10, 8th place, quick for the 97. We also want to turn attention actually to the 14 car, Tyler Reed. He was very, very quick last week, and currently after 1 lap sits 17th. We'll see how he does after lap number 2 out of turn number 4. Through the quad oval, he'll go across the line. We'll see where Tyler Reed ends up from 17th to... wow, 5th place. Quite a run there for him. It's not quite the run we saw last week at Kansas Speedway, but still a pretty good qualifying run and going to put him well up the starting grid.
The thing that's very important, if that time holds, it'll currently put him on the inside of row 3. But the nature of this rules package is going to create a lot of very tight, almost pack-esque racing like you might see at Daytona or Talladega Super Speedway, at least early on to the runs before tire wear sets in. So to get ahead of that melee, especially early in the race, is going to be absolutely crucial for these drivers to get as much track position as possible, as early as possible tonight. And now we're going to follow Brandon Robertson. He's been doing an excellent job so far this season. Finished 10th last week at Kansas Speedway, and probably looking to make up a few more spots than that.
Just to reiterate what you said, track position is key, and just from following the season, as a fan, Brandon Robertson has had a really good season. He's already got that win, so he's already got a really good points set going for him now, and just staying consistent is also going to be really helping him. So having a top 10 last week helped him off in the points, and doing that today, having a good consistent finish today will help him in the points, as you see him coming out of turn 4 to complete his first lap.
This will actually complete lap number 2. First lap, a 29.1. Second lap, a 29.080. Just a bit quicker, and it's good for third quick on the board. How about that from Brandon Robertson? We just published a poll over on the Facebook live stream here. You can vote on which previous winner you think will win next. Brandon Robertson might be a good one this afternoon. He's on there. Justin Winters, Casey Barlow, Alan Dobbs on there as well. So if you're watching over on Facebook, go ahead and vote. Let us know who you think will be the first repeat winner of this second season of the Bluegrass iRacing series. Wow, I mean, we have 2 really good candidates, actually, towards the top of the scoring pylon. Again, Alan Dobbs currently still on pole. Brandon Robertson goes third quick. We'll be starting right behind that number 3 car. And many others on the way. I mean, Justin Winters, he sits 10th. And if we look for that other winner, Casey Barlow, has he set his time? He has. He's 20th, so maybe not his cup of tea here at Charlotte. Granted, his win was at Martinsville. Wes Wiggin on the speedway now. He's coming out of turn 4 to complete lap number 2. We'll see where the 88 goes. It's up to 21st, so I think that was 24th to 21st there, so an improvement for sure, and every position's going to count, even if it is back in those 20s. Every position matters. All of these points very, very valuable.
Very important. Excuse me. It's very important, Andrew, that you do bring up the points picture, because despite the fact that it's 300 miles tonight, we are going to award a few points at that halfway point. It'll be 150 miles in or 100 laps into the race tonight. So, like you might see in real life NASCAR National Series competition, there will be stage points awarded for the top 10. So if you win the stage, you will earn 10 points tonight. Going all the way down to 10th place, you will earn 1 point. So there's a lot on the line if you're consistent throughout this race tonight. A lot of other factors that are probably going to come into play in terms of strategy tonight is just the fact that here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series, at least for this new season, we have a 50% fuel limit, which is going to force pit stops quite rapidly. Should probably see about 3 pit stops here in the first stage, and then about a 3 in the final stage after that, barring any yellow flags to mix up the strategy tonight.
Basing off from what I've seen last week, I expect to see some green flag pit stops, and that's definitely going to throw some strategy into play. So we know Alan Dobbs played a strategy pretty close and pretty well last week. We saw Robertson tried to do that, and I believe it was Matt Grenier who also was in contention for that win. So I'm ready to see what these guys learned from last week having a green flag run to see what they can do tonight.
And you see some logos on the left side of your screen. Of course, want to thank everybody involved with Bluegrass iRacing Series and PitStop TV. And of course, we lead off with Millner Media and Designs. We also want to give a big shout out to Rims One, providing some prizes out to some of these drivers, primarily for leading at that halfway point and collecting that stage win. And of course, we got to thank our partners, Sound Art of Tucson, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media. We'll talk more about all of them throughout the course of this evening's event. You see the race medevac there in turn number 4. Thankfully, we don't have to use it here on the iRacing.com sim, but if we ever need to, it is there. About 2 minutes left in qualifying, and I don't think we'll have any more takers on the speedway. David Farmer, Ed Osborne, CJ Mason, the only ones who have not taken to the pavement here in Concord, North Carolina. And you know what? That's not a bad move. This track can fill up pretty quickly, so if we do have a big incident here in the early goings, it's actually quite a narrow track, not the wide kind of place that you get at Talladega, Texas, wherever. Room runs out very, very quickly, a lot like Dover, a lot like Martinsville, even Bristol, even though Bristol tends to be a bit wide, room runs out very, very quickly. So if you do have an incident out in front of you, it might not be a bad idea to start from the back of the field and have a whole lot more time to adjust.
Yeah, that's a great point, Andrew. Especially compared to its 1.5 mile counterparts. When you step onto the racetrack on the iRacing.com service, you do really know how narrow it is. You get very uncomfortable going double wide sometimes. To even think of going 3 wide, especially through the front straightaway in the quad oval, can be absolutely terrifying from the perspective of a driver. So, and especially with the pack-style nature of the early runs here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, like you said, not really a bad idea per se to start from the back. If we get a long run early, it might allow you to casually make your way up through the field once guys start to get a little bit more spread out as tire wear starts to set in. And of course, strategy is going to allow guys opportunities to try some moves that we might not initially think of, at least to start the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think starting from the back is honestly one of the better choices. As you mentioned, trying to prepare for a long run, so maybe starting through the back, letting the race, work itself out. Maybe some incidents happen early on, and just work your way up through the field. Try to save some tires, and then towards that halfway point, start getting up there. We'll see some green flag pit stops before we get to the end of that stage, so you'll know how much tires you can use and how much you don't want to use. So I expect to see that strategy come into play.
And once again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're watching from. Thank you for joining us for the 6th edition of this season of the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Before you lies the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's been a doozy of a season to get to this point, be it Daytona, Las Vegas, Martinsville, Richmond, Kansas. All 5 races to open this season so far have been exciting, they've been drama-filled, they've been action-packed, and I expect the exact same kind of thrilling suspense ride, roller coaster, there we go, that this Bluegrass iRacing series tends to throw us on here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tyler Johnson was the Season 1 winner here at Charlotte. We'll see who will do it today, beginning with the front row. It's Alan Dobbs on pole, last week's Kansas Speedway winner. Adam Lancaster will start second place in the number 28 Ghostface Brewing Company Ford Mustang. Starting off in third, it's Brandon Robertson in the number 2 Chevrolet. Bryce Hunter in the Eric's Carpet Care Chevrolet number 9 rolls off fourth. Rolling off fifth place on the inside of row number 3, it's Matt Grenier out of the Northeast. Matt Trineri joins him in the 6th position. Rolling back to row 4, it's Tyler Reed in the 14. John Kinder, one of our stars from last season that is yet to win. This could be the place he does it. He lives now in nearby Mooresville, North Carolina. It could be a nice night for him to do it in the number 21 machine. Rolling back to row 5 to round out the top 10, Trey Shuttlesworth, it's Wyatt Brackett and David Brackett, a father-son combo out of Maine.
Excellent to start up front for those two, and then we'll go beyond the top 5 rows, and it's going to be Justin Winters, who did very well last season, off to a pretty strong start so far, accompanied by Jack Bauer on the outside of row number 6. 13th position will be Nicholas Noggle, with Nathan Maurer to his outside in 14th. We go to what will be row 8 tonight. It's going to be Joshua Abbey, accompanied by a rookie to the series tonight, Ryan Kendall. Row 9 is going to be comprised of Mitch Smith and Gary Jazorski, and then rounding out your top 20 will be Scott Fritz, accompanied by Ronnie Shirk Jr.
In the latter half of the top 20, starting 21st, we have Wes Wigand, and to his outside, we have Casey Barlow. Starting 23rd, we have Michael Brisson, and 24th, we have Michael Oxett. 25th, we have Dylan Butler, and to his outside in 26th, we have Daniel Worthington. 27th, we have Brian Terry, and to his outside, the 46 machine of Nick Mills. Rounding out the top 30, we have Dakota Shepard in 29th, and Ryan Smith in 30th.
In the 31st position is going to be David Farmer in the 84, and Osborne in 32nd. These guys didn't qualify. CJ Mason back there as well. He's in the 55 car, rolling off in the 33rd position. You're looking top down at the front 6 starters. Alan Dobbs first place, and it's Lancaster, Robertson, Bryce Lee, Hunter, Matt Grenier, Matt Trineri. Your top 6 coming to the green flag momentarily. It's been an amazing first 5 races to get this season underway. We look forward to the races ahead. And out of turn number 4, the pace car dips down to the pit lane, and we are ready to get the 6th race of the season underway. There they go. They're off and away. Down to turn number 1 for the first time at speed. The green flag flies for the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
We head into turn 1 for the first time tonight, and we get a pretty good example of how much of an advantage the leader has off of the initial restart here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Alan Dobbs is dead and gone by about half a second down the back straightaway, and the first person to lead the rest is Brandon Robertson, who begins to pull away from the side-by-side battle for the 3rd spot.
Further on back, you see side-by-side there. Now we're focusing on Alan Dobbs. You see how good of a restart, good of a jump he got. Gapped Brandon Robertson by about 3 or 4 car lengths as you see him getting the gain across the start-finish line going into turn 1. You see the rear view here as you see them falling back that bottom line a lot. Single file. We got 1 car down on the apron. Looks like they're going to keep things going.
Through turns 3 and 4 for the second time today, you see everybody just trying to settle in, figure out where they want to run this afternoon. Alan Dobbs showing the way through 2 laps. Brandon Robertson very close behind. They top the pole currently for the winner, the current race winner that you guys expect to win next. I think Brandon Robertson leads by just a little bit over Alan Dobbs, so maybe a few number 2 fans out there, but don't look far because Matt Grenier is there as well. He sits in 3rd place. Everybody up front getting single file very quickly. It's what you expect to see. How about Wyatt Brackett from about the 9th place starting spot already into 6th, and he's looking for more. He's not so far back of Bryce Lee Hunter.
Lots of strong battles throughout the field, even if it's not a tight pack like you might see at the super speedways, and that might just be due to the fact that we're still in bright daylight here, so you might not see the packs that we've become used to over the last couple years at Charlotte Motor Speedway. for races such as the Coca-Cola 600 under the lights. But this race started at about 5 o'clock within the iRacing.com simulator, so we should see a bit of that day-to-night transition as we go longer and longer into tonight's races. We ride on board with Brendan Robertson, starting to close here and there on race leader Alan Dobbs.
See him following in the tracks of Alan Dobbs. As you mentioned, that day-to-night transition, so you can see coming out of 2, you see that glare coming off that water tower, and it's not too bad coming out of 2 and then through the rest of the track. So expect to see the track getting a lot darker and darker as we go on. You know, you don't see a lot of shady spots, but once it goes down, the track temp's gonna get a lot cooler, and lap times get faster, and we have a caution on the speedway.
Caution flag already out. It's the first one, of course, of the afternoon. Tyler Reed, we talked him up there in qualifying. He is the first car involved in an incident here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You can see he took a header off into the inside wall. I'd imagine maybe a little bit of help. He's racing in front of John Kinder, behind Wyatt Brackett here, so this is very much inside of the top 10 out of turn 2. Reed gets the wall, and oh, there it is, trying to save it. Catches it for a second, then I think just ends up wishing-washing, and wow, that's in the wall pretty hard. That very last impact with the inside wall was all we saw the first time, and that doesn't even tell the story. This is a really heartbreaking incident for Reed, who looked so good in the early goings last week. Today, not so much.
Very painful one to watch, even if the damage wasn't critically severe, just because he had it saved for a second, but then the car snapped on him as he got about halfway down the back straightaway. But fortunately for Tyler Reed, I don't think there was any damage beyond some moderate aerodynamic damage, despite a couple of hits to the inside safer barrier. So he may, with the help of some attrition, be able to make his way back up through the field, or he might still have some decent pace within that Ford Mustang.
That right there, with that onboard view, shows how Andrew mentioned earlier that this track can be really narrow, really quick. You know, just getting in the gas maybe a little bit too quick, got tightened up, hit that wall, and you know, unfortunately for him, just kind of ran out of room, and the car, you know, just snapped out from under him. I honestly thought he was going to save it, but he's very lucky to walk away from that with just a little bit of damage.
A few cars staying out here, actually a lot of cars staying out. Alan Dobbs all the way through Ryan Smith in 15th, all staying on the racetrack. Now, we talked a little bit before our production started here, Trey Shuttlesworth, about the lack of tire sets these guys have. They do have to run at least about 25 laps a set, actually a bit more than that, about 30 laps a set, if they want to make it to the end of the race on decent tires. So they're going to have to go quite a ways on this first set. They cannot pit this early and take a set of tires. Now, if you're new to this option on iRacing, iRacing.com has recently added in the ability to limit the amount of tires that you can use in a race. Obviously, that can be set by the race host, so be it a league admin or a hosted race admin or even official races have tire limits now. It puts these drivers in a new strategy box, and that's very, very important at a place like Charlotte that's going to eat these tires up a bit, especially starting out during the day like this. We can even take a look at the weather conditions. That's a pretty toasty track, actually. 82 degrees in the air, definitely unseasonably warm here for early January, but 92-degree track temp is going to throw these drivers for a bit of a loop like you just saw Tyler Reed go for.
Yeah, but it also is going to create us a very dynamic event tonight, because we are going to see the track undergo a lot of track temperature change, and it's going to make these cars handle, in a lot of ways, it'll be a lot easier for the drivers tonight. The car is going to get, or the track rather, will get a lot grippier. The car, in theory, will probably get a little bit tighter, but it'll, in theory, also be a little bit more stable and easier to handle, and it should create a tighter competition as the night goes on. We're already on one to go here, so a pretty brief yellow, and we're going to get another really exciting restart here at Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm ready to see what when the track temp cools down a little bit. It's going to make the track, as you said, car's going to be a lot tighter, and it's going to make the racing a lot more interesting. You know, coming to one to go here, actually coming to the green this time. You know, Alan Dobbs, Brandon Robertson, Bryce Hunter, and Matt Grenier still our top four. So ready to see if Alan Dobbs can pull away like he did on the last restart.
Alan Dobbs choosing the outside line for this first restart of the race. Brendan Robertson then on the inside, he's second place. Matt Grenier, he's third. It's Bryce Lee Hunter in fourth. Wyatt Brackett in fifth. Then it's Trineri, Brackett, Noggle, Maurer, and Bauer, your top 10. Into the restart zone for the first time this afternoon. They get things back and going, and we are once again racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now lap 9 of 200. Alan Dobbs leads off into turn 1. He's got a hungry pack of drivers behind them. Most of them still looking for their first win in the series in general. A couple of them looking for their second win on the season.
We head down the back straightaway, and interestingly, for race leader Alan Dobbs, he elects to utilize the outside line on that restart, perhaps getting a little bit more of a sample size as to what might be valuable later in the race. We see that he doesn't pull off to the same advantage that he had on the initial race start. Only a couple of car lengths over second place Brendan Robertson, who is showing he has a lot of pace for race leader Alan Dobbs right now. First side-by-side battle appears to be for fourth spot between Wyatt Brackett and Bryce Hunter.
Expect to see a lot of single file action, just going on here. You see some double file action going on further back, but nonetheless, here we are looking at the battle for the lead. Brandon Robertson ever so slightly gaining on the leader of Alan Dobbs, getting closer and closer every lap. He has gotten up to about less than a tenth of a second as we're on board with him going into that corner. You're going to see him get that draft coming up out of turn 2. He's going to get to that bumper and maybe go to the inside.
Right on the back end of Alan Dobbs, chooses to stay in behind him and nose the tail off into turn number 3. They've separated themselves, almost looking like a throwback to early 2010s Daytona or Talladega, where they start tandem drafting away from the field. The rest of the field is Matt Grenier, Wyatt Brackett, Bryce Hunter, Nicholas Noggle. He barely gets his nose to the outside of Hunter before turn 1, but they get back single file. These four already getting a little bit argy-bargy in the early goings. Only lap 12, and they're racing pretty hard for the top 5. Jack Bauer is back here in 7th place. We talked a lot about him at Kansas. A big breakout run for him. He's looking to do the exact same thing this afternoon at Charlotte.
Yeah, Bauer finishes in the top 10 last week at Kansas with the 9th place spot in a race that had a lot of dynamic strategy and was a lot of fun to watch. Didn't get a lot of yellows, but he's doing a pretty strong job right here, and if these guys ahead of him have a couple of errors, he could be ready to pounce and claim a couple of spots here. Some of the competitors ahead of him include Noggle, Hunter, and Wyatt Brackett, and this is for the back end of the top 5 right now, right on board with that Chevrolet. It'll be the Camaro here in the Cup Series for the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Continue to ride on board. He'll elect to utilize the low line coming out of turn 4.
I'm Jack Bauer right now. That's what I want to see in front of me. I want to see these guys battling side by side, because maybe right now he might not have the pace to get up there, but them battling side by side like that allows him to catch up and be able to catch some of that draft to stay with the pack. And as long as they stay single file, they will be able to catch up to Brandon Robertson and potentially get up to Alan Dobbs.
Again, some breakout runs lately for Jack Bauer, going to vault him into, I'd say, the spotlight here soon. Another driver we talked a lot about last week at Kansas is Nathan Maurer. He's sitting just inside the top 10, in fact, in the 10th position, right in front of a side-by-side battle with David Brackett. How about this? Gary Jazorski. He's not had a season to remember at all, but this could be the start of something good for that 18 Toyota Camry, as he runs just outside the top 10, but certainly where he needs to be if he wants to start making up valuable points and try to point his way into the postseason, the playoffs here for the Bluegrass iRacing Series. The sun glinting off the spoilers out of turn 4. Alan Dobbs continues to lead. It's now lap 16 of 200, getting these ones knocked out of the way rather quickly. Brandon Robertson still sits second, Matt Grenier 3rd, Wyatt Brackett 4th, Bryce Hunter 5th.
Since the last time we visited the race leaders, Alan Dobbs has pulled ahead by about 6/10 over what he initially had on Brandon Robertson, which was about 2/10, only a couple of car lengths. So I think we're seeing, like last week, that Alan Dobbs just has a raw pace that no one else is able to match. And like the Kansas Speedway, we're at a 1.5-mile racetrack, although it is quite different from what we saw last week. Kansas Speedway is a track where you, conventionally speaking, run along the high side right up against the wall. This is quite different. You have to arc into the corner and sometimes actually do a double diamond apex here through the Charlotte Motor Speedway's corners. Quite interesting to get around here. Quite difficult and, yeah, very unique racetrack, even if it might not initially seem like it.
Yeah, honestly, Charlotte is one of the more difficult 1.5 mile tracks to get around, just as we mentioned, as it's a little more narrow than most of its counterparts. You can see on board here, it's also a little more steeper than what you'd see at Chicagoland or maybe not before Texas had a renovation, but even in Kansas last week, it's a little more steep, a little more narrow. So you're going to see how much wheel he's putting into that. trying to keep that thing down on the low line. As you see there, he's actually pulled another 0.3 seconds on Brandon Robertson.
24-degree banking here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is actually quite steep. I actually double-checked the banking, and I'm double-checking Kansas as well. I really didn't think it was 24 degrees. That's actually quite steep in those corners, which lends to some great road course racing when they put the roll configuration on here. But a pass for second place. Brandon Robertson overtaken by his teammate. He's actually got a teammate behind him as well. These three Team New England drivers, albeit through one Ford and two Chevrolets. They've got David Brackett in that group as well. They're not alone. They're mixing it up here for second, third, and fourth positions. And comparing Charlotte to Kansas, actually, yeah, Kansas only 17 to 20 degrees as they have that progressive groove towards the top side that lends itself to those top side runs that Trey Shuttlesworth mentioned. Jack Bauer going for a pass down the back stretch. He gets the inside of Nicholas Noggle. That's a big move for him, getting up and fighting that 08 car. Noggle's had a lot of speed through the first season and the early goings of season number 2. Very surprised, actually, by this 48 car. Very happily surprised because, remember, he had decent runs, I'd say, in season 1, but nothing really to write home about. And this is the kind of stuff we've always wanted to see out of the 48 car. For sure, I think, out of the 48 car in recent memory, and certainly doing that 48 proud right now.
Very impressive job by that 48 Camaro so far tonight. No, he's starting about the 12th position here tonight, and he's already up about a half a dozen spots through some of the series' best drivers, so he's doing a very impressive job right now. Of course, still alongside, it's still Nicholas Doggle there, so this will be a fight for the 6th position on the racetrack, and Bryce Hunter is also doing a very excellent job of defending from this too. Of course, he's getting a little bit of help considering these two are side by side. As I say that, we do go single file, and now it's going to be Bryce Hunter on the attack as opposed to on the defensive.
You see Nicholas Noggle go down to the inside of Bryce Hunter, and he's going to take that spot and going to cycle himself up into the 5th spot. But don't count Bryce Hunter out as he's back to the inside. They're going to be side by side across the line. Looks like Bryce Hunter's going to get that spot, and Jack Bauer's right here ready to sit in the catbird seat to see if he can overtake both of them.
How about that crossover in turns 3 and 4? Hunter fought back to the bottom, gets the apron just a tiny bit. That kicks the car up the racetrack a bit. And now you see that top side coming in for Nicholas Noggle down the backstretch. What a great view of this side-by-side battle. Really getting a look at how these Cup cars fight side-by-side. Right on the seam there is the 08 of Noggle holding the 9 car down. You see the 9 get a little bit sideways, a tiny bit loose out of 4. That hurts his run and gives the already good run of the 08 a bit of a boost down the front stretch, and man, Noggle almost clears Bryce Hunter off into turn 1. These guys still fighting things out, and they've brought Nathan Maurer into the picture. There's even Scott Fritz back there. David Brackett, he's in the running as well. So these guys just on the safe side of the top 10. Wow, Bryce Hunter says, nope, you're not pinching me down. Actually moves Noggle up the racetrack a tiny bit. Bit of door contact almost in a turn 3. And wow, that 9 car suddenly fighting back really hard, but I think that's going to hurt him down the front stretch. Nicholas Noggle maybe has him cleared, not quite.
Incredibly aggressive, especially considering we're in the first 50 miles of 300 tonight, but a lot of respect between these two competitors so far. But what it is doing is it's allowing a lot of competitors to stay single file and gather a lot of slipstream on the straightaways and close up a lot on these drivers. And of course, the drivers ahead of them are also, as a result, able to pull away quite quickly, the likes of Matt Grenier, Brendan Robertson, and Wyatt Brackett. So the battle continues to rage on here for the back end of the top 5. It'll be Noggle for the time being. Now Bryce Hunter will yet again have to go in the defensive, and it is yet again his competitor, Jack Bauer, looking to take the spot and continue to climb up through the field.
I wouldn't count out Nathan Maurer out of this battle at all. You know, after that, he's gained a little bit of time on him. And as you see further on back, the pack behind them is starting to catch up. That Simbach Chevy's quick. He's proven that last season and further on this season. Had a great run, and I expect to see a lot of him coming out tonight as he's slowly making his way up towards that top 5.
Well, he gets to the grass there as Bryce Hunter pounded the wall at a turn 4. That really hurt that number 9 Chevrolet. It looks like the damage isn't actually too bad. I guess he didn't pound it, but he definitely put that car in the wall quite a bit. Lost a lot of speed, lost time and positions to Jack Bauer and Nathan Maurer. Scott Fritz now, the next car in line behind him. And it seems like that number 9 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 1LE is going in the wrong direction. A battle further back. How about David Brackett defending from the number 68 of Ryan Kendall? Shuttlesworth, you mentioned earlier on, Kendall, a rookie in this series. He's done a few few good things, but as of these last couple of weeks, I think since Vegas, we haven't talked much about him. He just made a pass to get up into the top 10, so suddenly that 68 looking pretty good once again.
Yeah, Andrew, if I do recall, he was our winner at Las Vegas, which was an absolutely enthralling race. But stage winner, that's right. It's starting to come back to me now. But no, he did definitely have a strong run at Vegas, proved a lot about himself, but it's been a little bit of a struggle in the midseason. But as we're seeing, he definitely has really strong pace so far. Just going to be, for him, it's going to be a matter of keeping up with the racetrack and being consistent on these pit stops. And right now, he's looking to claim a spot on Bryce Hunter. So Hunter continues to fall a bit down the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, looking further back there, as you mentioned, we're on board with John Kinder, He's coming up into the mix. We were talking about him early on. It'd be a good day for him to get a win here, even finish well at his home track here at Charlotte. He's making his way into the top 10 as Bryce Hunter in that 10th spot right in front of him as you see him battling the 38 of David Brackett. He's going to get on by him. They're actually going to be side by side. I'm not quite sure he cleared him yet, but he's going to be on that hunt for that top 10.
Finally clears him down the back stretch. The 21 moves up one position. That puts him in 11th. Bryce Hunter up ahead. He's been on that slide in the Alex Carpet Care. Number 9, Kenny. Oh, man, he was looking like he was going to go up the hill there once more. How about the 52 car back here in 13th? Justin Winters not having a day to write home about at all so far, but he is in contention to make up some positions here on the long run. Now, we're getting close to that point where these drivers might start to pit. We've seen fuel only go about 30 laps on these 1.5s, and there goes John Kinder down to the inside of Bryce Hunter for a big pass that puts him up into the top 10. But our eyes have got to shift back up towards the front of the field. Alan Dobbs still leading the way. Matt Grenier still second place. But these guys are going to make their way down the pit lane soon. When? We don't know exactly. But certainly within the next few laps, I'd say by lap 35, we can expect most, if not all of the field to come down the pit lane. Some of those drivers that came in on the first caution may have just topped off on fuel, and actually, that's not a bad way to go about things. I think these tires can certainly go longer than their fuel, and, well, now we see the first taker. It's Alan Dobbs out of the race lead.
As you said, Andrew, the pit stops are probably going to come before lap 35. Probably only about a maximum of 30 green flag laps that you can put into a fuel tank full of virtual Sunoco fuel here tonight. So, yep, he's definitely going to open things up here. It's going to be interesting to see when his competitors come down, although they probably don't have a lot of options in terms of trying to get off strategy with Alan Dobbs, unless you're someone like Ryan Kendall or John Kinder. Those are the guys that pitted on the initial caution. That's going to allow them 5 to 10 more laps of additional fuel, and it's going to allow them a lot of variability here in this first stage here tonight at Charlotte. It's going to be more of it. Yeah, a lot of the front runners are coming down pit road here, including Grenier and Robertson. Going to leave Ryan Kendall to inherit the lead for the time being.
John Kinder, as we said earlier, he would cycle himself into that 10th spot. He will cycle out P2 right now while pit stops are underway. I expect these guys to come down within the next lap or two. And if everything goes well and a caution doesn't come out, Alan Dobbs should recycle as our leader. But right now, the looks are on that 68 machine of Ryan Kendall as we see David Brackett coming in for his pit stop. Going to slow that thing down to about, I think pit speed is 50 miles an hour, so he's going to lose a lot of speed there, and he's into pit road. As
I mentioned, those drivers who pitted at the first caution flag, they did take fuel. That's why they're on the racetrack currently. And it looks like none of them took tires, just a fuel-only stop. And I can confirm that every driver that stayed out to this point did pit earlier on. So certainly, I think taking advantage of the fact that they could fuel up and now go a little bit further. I'm not exactly sure what the long-run benefit is going to be yet. The math is going to have to work itself out, especially with that halfway break in just over 60 laps. It's hard to say exactly, but they might be able to cut a pit stop out depending on how much extra fuel they have. So Ryan Kendall, John Kinder, Justin Winters may be in the catbird seat for that stage break and could get themselves very valuable points they need in order to keep working themselves into the playoffs. The Rays Energy 81, Michael Logzet going to go on by, unlap himself. That is not for position. Neither is the battle that's coming into your screen shortly right behind John Kinder. It's going to be Alan Dobbs. He is one lap down and is in the, 17th spot currently, so he is also going to unlap himself on new tires.
And looking at timing and scoring, it looks like he is going to be the winner, at least of the guys on his current pit strategy. Of course, we're going to have to see if those guys who are currently staying out, if they're actually able to save a pit stop here tonight. And looking at the map, they're probably borderline. You could probably stay out for about a maximum of 30 green flag laps here at Charlotte tonight. So if these guys are able to pit at lap 40 and lap 70, they're going to be really close to the stage break. Of course, they might have issues, though, because it might take a couple of laps once that stage yellow comes out. So they might get caught in a situation where the yellow flag comes out, and they might get a bit of a penalty if they come down pit road before the proper formal opening of pit road under yellow flag.
Yeah, that would not be ideal for any of those guys at all. You don't want to catch a penalty, really at all, but especially, when you're trying to strategize like that. Here we are watching that 51 machine and the 33 of Wyatt Brackett. The 52 in front of him, position fighting Matt Grenier, who's also a lap down, trying to get his lap back in front of Ryan Kendall. He's going to surge past Justin Winters on those fresh tires. As you see further back, they're almost 3 wide right behind him. Nicholas Noggle threading the needle through the middle.
We see one more car pitting back there. That is Wes Winged in the number 88. And looks like Ronnie Shirk Jr. going to come with him. One car slow trying to get into the pit lane. Who was that? Was that Daniel Worthington? It looks like it was. And everybody else coming in for their pit stop. So actually all eyes is going to turn up to Ryan Kendall, our current race leader, because he has not made his green flag stop yet. Now he will. Ryan Kendall, the 68 car, going to come in. Whoa, I don't know where he was going initially, but here comes John Kinder. Look at all of that time he made up. John Kinder, I think, deserves an award for that pit entry. That made up tons of time in comparison to Ryan Kendall. That's how important pit entry is. Now John Kinder has a chance to either exit right behind the 68 or exit possibly even in front of him, depending on pit stop time. We'll see how it all works out. It looks like Joshua Abbey momentarily going to step into the race lead, and he did pit a while back, so he should be in this time. I would imagine in that number 5 Chevrolet Camaro. He is coming in right here. We'll see how it works out further up with the 21 car and the 68. Kendall does beat John Kinder out, but still much, much closer than he would have been. Meanwhile, Alan Dobbs going to cycle back into the race lead in just a few moments as he comes by the start-finish line to retake P1.
When we got that lap 5 yellow flag, I thought it might have been just, an early breaking of the pace, give us a little bit of a breather before we get into this long run, but I didn't know it was going to offer the variability and strategy that we're getting here, because as you said a little bit earlier, Andrew, we're looking at some of these guys, the likes of John Kinder or Ryan Kendall. They might be on the brink of being able to save a pit stop. So, regardless, we're going to get to see 2 battles play out. We're going to see the battle between the guys who did pit on that initial yellow flag, and then we're going to see the battle for what is the lead for the time being. It's still Alan Dobbs on top for the time being. Nicholas Noggle, though, he is able to make his way up into second place, although he is about 8.5 seconds down. That's almost a quarter of the racetrack here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, Alan Dobbs up now to about a 9-second lead. So, that's a absolute heck of a gap. So he's just really got to play his cards. He doesn't have to drive too hard now. So that's actually really good for him, so he can work on saving those tires and maybe to see if he can go a little bit further and maybe try to extend his strategy if he wants to do that.
We're looking at 4th place Brandon Robertson, who's in behind now 3rd place Nathan Maurer of the Simbach Chevrolet. Looking pretty good here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's very close. Imagine you have 31 laps, 31 or 32 maybe. We saw, I believe it was race leader Alan Dobbs come in on lap 31. And I think everybody else went one more lap to lap 32. I think that's going to be very, very key. The fact that we saw drivers go 32 laps on fuel just might save that possible strategy of cutting out a fuel stop this afternoon. Extremely important for those guys who pitted at lap 5 and proves that you really do need to always be thinking about this strategy. And it's going to work because, of course, the caution came out about lap 5, but that's taking up multiple laps, 3-4 laps. So, you get to pit probably lap 6, lap 7, So you're already cutting out 7 laps, and you have about 32 laps to a run. That gets you to 96 overall. You're adding a couple of laps under caution. You can save some fuel. I mean, you're getting dangerously close to that 100 lap mark. So I think with a little bit of fuel saving, of course, you're going to have to lift over the course of a run. I think with a little bit of fuel saving, these guys might have something special, beginning with Ryan Kendall in the 8th position now. And you know what? 8th place isn't even that bad, considering he was able to take tires later. So even if the fuel doesn't quite work out for these guys, tires alone, being able to take them a little bit later and now run faster than all these guys that are having to lift earlier, that just might be the saving grace of that strategy, even if they can't quite make it to lap 100.
Yeah, Kendall is definitely going to have a lot of time to be able to take advantage of those fresh Goodyear Eagles. Most of his close competitors, are for him to get rather into the top 5. He doesn't have to climb too much farther up the leaderboard. He sits about 16 seconds back from race leader Alan Dobbs. 4th place Brendan Robertson is about 4 seconds ahead of Ryan Kendall, that is. So Kendall with those Goodyear Eagles, as long as he keeps a consistent pace, it probably won't take him long to get up into the top 5 before we get into our second green flag pit stop cycle. So that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. A lot of fun here early at Charlotte.
You're seeing John Kinder surge by Wyatt Brackett there. You see the 68 of Ryan Kendall in the mix here with Matt Grenier. They're battling for that 5th spot there. John Kinder's going to slot himself right on by there. Looks like Matt Grenier might be a little bit off pace. I'm not quite sure.
Well, that's that speed difference. Remember, I was just talking about the newer tires in the 68 and 21. That's how important it is. That's the difference in speed.
Well, nonetheless, those new tires definitely showing their work here, as that's going to cycle him further on back into the field. And that's putting John Kinder up further in the pack, and he's going to try and find himself up into potentially the 4th spot, as they've actually caught up to Brandon Robertson.
So yeah, the slightly older tires in the 2 and 48 going to hurt Jack Bauer. Brandon Robertson, a bit of a stack up there on the bottom side. We're watching from the nose of John Kinder, who just got into the back end of Ryan Kendall. Robertson, he might have even gotten a piece of that. A lot just happened in turns 3 and 4, and I think it's just Jack Bauer having to check up in the center of the corner. Jack is now in the 4th position. Here comes Kendall, and they can just abuse those tires a bit more right now because they are, let's see, 8 laps newer. I mean, that's really, really important for these guys to be able to run that much harder. 8 laps is a lot in this day and age on a set of tires. You see the 68-21 easily go on by the 48 and 2. Very, very important. So again, Shuttlesworth, as I was talking about, even if they don't make the fuel work, this difference in speed over the course of a run is really going to help the 68 and 21.
Of course, paying massive dividends in it. And, it all started when they had those slightly fresher tires as we went back green flag racing. 5 laps could be the difference of almost a half a second of tire degradation at racetracks like this, and I'm sure it was around that range. So Kendall is definitely going to have a lot to take advantage of if we go green all the way to the end of this one. And even if we get, say, a caution flag somewhere here soon before pit stops begin, he has a lot of track position as is from where he was when we went back green around lap 10 or so, because he did definitely start, I think, in the mid-teens or around 20th position. So definitely a big win regardless for Kendall.
You see John Kinder go around Kendall right there. I was actually just about to mention, I didn't know if he was gonna try and execute that pass, because they're on a similar strategy, so I didn't know if they were going to potentially maybe work together to catch up to that 08 of Nicholas Noggle. But it looks like John Kinder has got that button set to, he's got it set to go time, and he's working his way up. Still got about a 3-second gap, but, those newer tires, they're going to be up there in no time.
Absolutely. So everything's shaking out so far. The gap up ahead, I mean, Alan Dobbs is clear of the entire field by 10 seconds, but the gap into 2nd or 3rd place for those drivers, very, very realistic. You see 2nd and 3rd right here. Nathan Maurer has eclipsed the 08, in fact, for 2nd place. So this is big stuff, actually, out of the number 97. And we just posted a new poll on the PitStop TV Facebook stream. So if you're watching over there, you can let us know if you think we'll see another new winner this afternoon. We have 4 entirely unique winners out of 5 races. Granted, the first of those 5 races, that driver is no longer with us. So, in every race subsequently, it's been a different winner. Will we see another winner this afternoon? You can let us know over on Facebook. You can either say yes or no, of course. Nathan Maurer making his run, making his campaign for that possibility. Nicholas Noggle could be as well, and the gap is narrowing. John Kinder and Ryan Kendall in the same set of corners now. Wow, John Kinder, they really have something going for them with this strategy. I wasn't totally sure if it was going to matter too much, but it really is proving to be very, very fruitful to have come in on that first yellow flag of the afternoon. And now it makes me wonder why more drivers didn't do so. Lap 57 now out of 200, and everything is shaking up.
Yeah, Andrew, when they came out of pit road, they were probably about, I want to say about 20 seconds, maybe more than 20 seconds behind Alan Dobbs, and they nearly cut that in half at this point, only standing at about 11 seconds back. And yeah, they're about to be the best of the rest right now because they're very quickly going to come on to Nathan Maurer. But as soon as that happens, it's going to be about time for Nathan Maurer to come down onto pit road. He's been out on this fuel run and on this set of Goodyear Eagles for about 22 laps. So he probably only has about 10 laps at maximum before he has to come back down onto pit road. And then the fun begins yet again as we enter our, I think this will be, our second green flag pit cycle here at Charlotte pretty early on into the running, only about 100 miles in.
Yeah, looking on, just double checking what you said there. It looks like, Alan Dobbs, Nathan Maurer, and Noggle, they should be coming in, like you said, in about the next 7 or 8 laps. And like we said before, John Kinder and Ryan Kendall, they still have another 7 laps on those guys. So that will allow them to potentially, lap them and then maybe pull a little more. And then maybe if they're lucky, hopefully not, for the sake of, the racing is really good, but if a caution were to come out, that would go in their favor.
How about this pass right here? Ryan Kendall going to follow John Kinder, run by the 08 of Nicholas Noggle. Now, I will say, this number 08, one of my favorite paint schemes I've seen on iRacing in a long time, really embracing winter time, is Nicholas Noggle, but it doesn't look so great getting passed by the 21 and 68. Headed in the wrong direction right now is the Toyota Camry of Nicholas Noggle. He's got Justin Winters behind him, but that's not for position. So the closest position out front of his windshield. That's great for a driver. You always want to be closer to gaining a position than losing one, but I think that gap in tire degradation certainly going. You can see him just push up in the center of 3 and 4. Really hurting the 08 right now, and he's losing time to the 52 car. We have a car down the pit lane. I believe that might have been Michael Brisson, well out of the picture currently, but hey, pit strategy is proving itself rather worthy this afternoon. This is Jack Bauer. We've talked a lot about him in recent weeks. He's sitting in 6th place.
Yeah, around when this initial restart was around lap 10, he was probably around the 7th or 8th position. So he's been doing a very consistent job so far on this run. All alone on the racetrack right now, but it's soon going to be time for him to execute once again, as he does have to come down pit road with most of the rest of these leaders in just a couple of laps right now. So yeah, and like we said last week, 9th place finish at Kansas Speedway, and if he can improve on that at all, I'm sure it'll be something that's very positive for him as he continues to go forward in this season. Currently in the playoff picture too as well. He's doing a very excellent job so far.
We're sitting on board currently with our 6th place runner, Jack Bauer. Kind of just in a land of his own right now. Got about a little over a second back to Adam Lancaster. You see in front of him, got a clear racetrack by about a second and a half. So he's going to try and work his way up as he's taking lap 62 right there. And you see John Kinder further on up, trying to make his way up to that 2nd place machine of Nathan Maurer. So cycling out to 2nd will help him with his strategy.
Yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of these guys running their own race. They don't want to get caught up in these battles too much. If you're John Kinder, Ryan Kendall, you know you've got pace on these guys. And at this point, the tires are starting to really fall off a cliff, in fact. And the grip just falls away. So the 21, the 68, they've got a ride. They've already made up this much ground. Imagine the ground they're going to make up in this 2nd leg of this green flag run, if it continues to stay green flag, to the end of stage number 1. Big stuff out of the 21 and 68, and I would look for them to be huge contenders possibly for the stage win. It's a matter of how it shakes up in stage 2, though, of course, for the overall race win. Alan Dobbs, he's got a lot of lap cars in front of him. If something happens up ahead, boy, he is not in good company. He's got Mitch Smith up ahead. Ryan Smith, I believe, is up there. I'm not saying they're not good company, but if something happens out of these drivers, well, he's coming down the pit lane. If something would have happened, he would have had no time to avoid. Now he's going to come down the pit lane and will surrender the race lead to John Kinder because Nathan Maurer is also headed down to the safety of pit lane. So John Kinder, now the race leader.
He probably almost utilized all of his fuel as is at that point, so it's probably a good thing for him to run out of fuel then, because that was an absolute hornet's nest ahead of him, and that would have been very difficult to maneuver through. So it begins here. What could be the last pit stop for these guys if they're able to stretch it a total of 35 laps here to the end? So they will probably have to pit one more time, and now we get to see this battle between Kinder and Kendall, who are working on being able to potentially save a pit stop here before that stage break at lap 100. So it's going to be a lot of fun here to go to the finish, and these two have not been separated by much. Kinder might have pulled ahead by about a second at one point, but yet again, Ryan Kendall, who was the leader when they exited the pit lane, is looking to take that back before they, yet again, do have to come down pit road.
Yeah, they don't really have too much to worry about for people behind them for position. As you look on the left side of your screen, they got about 3.5 seconds back to Nicholas Noggle, so it's really all about trying to get as much of a gap as they can. As you saw them come out right by Alan Dobbs when Alan Dobbs was coming out of pit road, so that put him a lap down. So now it's all about trying to gap that. As you see Ryan Kendall get right up to the back end of that 21, not quite able to make a move yet, as you're actually, there you go, Alan Dobbs going around the outside, going to unlap himself.
Look at that speed difference. Alan Dobbs just setting sail, but now a side by side, there we go, battle for the race lead off into 3. Work at the top side, that's Ryan Kendall. How about that power move to get by John Kinder? And Ryan Kendall suddenly looking like he wants to win his second stage win on the season. Justin Winters, he's not in this battle. I'm not sure what happened to Justin Winters, but he is a lap down and well out of this thing. He has really not had a good season, minus his race win back at Richmond. The 52 car has just had a very rough go of things, even dating back to Kentucky of last season to end the season. He's just had a really rough time, and even some of those races in Season 1, Justin Winters, he's got great speed, but just something always happens, including last week at Kansas where he got that late speeding penalty.
Yeah, just not a luck for Winters at all whatsoever this season. The only thing that he really can take away so far is the fact that he does have a win. So in theory, he can relax. The only thing that's really going to help him at this point is claiming race wins, but it's probably at this point not going to happen at Charlotte without a lot of luck. And just based off of his qualifying pace, he started outside of the top 10, so he probably doesn't have some of the best raw pace in the field like Alan Dobbs or guys challenging him such as John Kinder. So it was probably going to be a tough one to claim a win here tonight without a lot of attrition. And so far, Charlotte's been a relatively calm race.
Tonight has been relatively calm, but like we said, we're not even halfway yet. So, I mean, this race is just getting started. So as long as they keep doing what they're doing now, it's going to be pretty tame. And, there's some tight battles going on track. We've seen it all day, and I expect to continue to see it. Last week was definitely one to compare it to. So I think they're going to do a really good job trying to work on that as we see the 68 Ryan Kendall's just pulling it more and more on John Kinder before they cycle themselves into pit road.
Well, we've got to think two-dimensionally about this. I guess three-dimensionally, because this means these guys are good to the end of stage 1. Once they pit, Ryan Kendall, John Kinder, Adam Lancaster, and a few more. And here they go. Going to pit right here is Ryan Kendall. John Kinder opts to go one more lap. They're good. We know they can go at least 30 laps on fuel. We just saw those other guys do it. So this is big for this strategy to try and win stage 1. Is really going to shuffle things up and really going to benefit guys like Ryan Kendall, who, of course, come in looking to gain quite a few points to better himself in the playoff situation. He comes in, let's see, 13 points out of the playoffs. If he is able to execute and win stage 1, that's 10 points he just gained on everybody. All he has to do is finish 3 points ahead, and now, halfway through the regular season, he will be right at that cutoff line. So this could put him back into the championship conversation just by virtue of being in the playoffs. For John Kinder, it's only going to further solidify himself. No matter how many points he gets at this point, it's likely going to be more than most of the rest of the top 16. John Kinder, this is a big win-win for him. He doesn't even have to go out there and win the first stage. All he has to do is execute from this point on.
Yeah, Kendall doing a very strong job. And like you said about Kendall, who does need to make up a lot of spots in the points to get back into the playoff picture properly. A lot of the guys that he's looking very tightly with in the points, the likes of Nick Mills, David Bracken, and Gary Jaworski, have been having mid-pack runs tonight, so that could give him even more motivation to make up those positions, because he could very easily, as you said, with those 10 points, make it easy for him to claim a lot of spots here in the second stage of the race, make it a lot more comfortable to get back into that top 16 even tonight, despite that 13-point gap right now. And it is going to be the 5. That is Joshua Abbey coming down onto the pit lane right now. And I think he does actually concede the lead with that, putting Alan Dobbs yet again back to the top of the leaderboard.
Looking now, Alan Dobbs, after working his way through some lap traffic, bit sketchy there, almost some contact, but nonetheless, he gets through that with no damage, no wrecks there. You see in front of them, they are battling in front of them. But he's got a 10-second gap back to Nathan Maurer there at the line. And in front of him, he's just got a hornet's nest of race cars.
"75 laps in, here comes Alan Dobbs." Yep, he's short pitting. Oh, that might have been too quick. Oh, that one was close. He may have been speeding there at the pit commitment line. We'll have to wait and see if he gets held in his pit box after his pit service. I'd imagine it's fuel only here for the 3 car, I'd imagine. So for everybody else that has to pit from this point on, Nathan Maurer is still on the racetrack. He takes the race lead momentarily. No jacks there for Alan Dobbs. Do you have a long pit stop? Possibly. This is a bit longer than I'd imagine, unless he's filling up with fuel. Oh boy, did he get a speeding penalty.
And the terrifying thing of coming down the pit road and speeding here on the iRacing.com service under the green flag conditions is the fact that it could be a penalty as high as about 40 seconds. That's at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's about a lap and a half, including the pin in and pin out. The least it was on the pit entry, because it could be even more damaging if you do have to come back down pit road one more time. So yeah, this is definitely going to change the picture. And now Alan Dobbs is probably going to have to fight to try to stay on the lead lap here before this stage break, so that he isn't more disadvantaged as we come back to at the return of the stage.
With all that happening, Jack Bauer has cycled himself into the race lead with a comfortable gap back to Ryan Kendall. Got about 3.5 seconds back to that 68 machine. So we talk about Jack Bauer having a heck of a season. He's found himself, in a little bit of a pack here, so hopefully nothing happens to him. But he's got a pretty comfortable back to that 68 machine.
But he still has to pit, and there goes Ryan Smith onto the apron to pass Alan Dobbs. Up the racetrack goes the 91, right in front of Oxet. That's going to break a hole, open the seas. I don't even know. The seas parted. There we go. I'm trying to find some words for Jack Bauer, because that was insane. I'm not sure what Ryan Smith was thinking, but he just drove onto the apron to go by Alan Dobbs. He made it spectacular for sure, and if we were to hand out an award for just making TV exciting this afternoon, it might go to the 91, because that was very scary for everybody involved. And look at this massive pack right now involving Ryan Smith, of course, Gary Jaworski, Michael Ogset. We've got the 55 of CJ Mason up here, Daniel Worthington, a bunch of guys and a bunch of different strategies. It looks like they just took a restart.
And the thing that's making it so terrifying is, with these guys being on different strategies, there could be differences in pace of as much as 2 seconds with the tire fall, if we've been seeing here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So yeah, it's very terrifying, whether you be the slower car or whether you be the faster car. These are the kind of gaps that you might see in like multi-class racing, where you have cars that are about 2 seconds faster or slower than each other, nearly 3 wide, including some of our main competitors tonight, Nathan Maurer, Ryan Kendall. Oh, it's looking really tight right now off of the exit of 4.
You want to talk about having that pace. You see John Kinder up into the second spot, or actually Ryan Kendall up to the first spot now. Excuse me. But he gained a lot of time there, just because I look back now, he actually had about 8 laps fresher tires than Jack Bauer. So as we see, Jack Bauer went to pit. Now Ryan Kendall, John Kinder, that battle is back onto the top spot.
So Jack Bauer concedes the race lead, and that's what we're talking about. He still had to pit, and he did so. That puts him back to, around the 11th, 10th position or so. He's going to try and battle himself back up a few spots and maybe get a stage point before it's all said and done. There he goes. He gets lapped Ryan Kendall, the race leader, in the midst of all of this. This is going to be an exciting 18-lap run to the end of the first stage because John Kinder's in this mess as well. And Brandon Robertson, he's still got a pit. He's a little ways further back. Boy, this is a lot happening. And just like when Alan Dobbs came in a little while ago, if anything happens in front of Ryan Kendall or John Kinder right here, they have very little time to react, and suddenly their day could go from great to awful. And it's going to be a matter of just giving themselves a little bit of reaction time, yet also trying to stay in front of one another.
I think the important thing is, even if these guys are having a lot of difficulty making their way through the field, we have seen respect for the most part in letting these quick cars get by. A little bit of difficulty getting by some drivers, but so far it's been relatively clean. We haven't claimed any victims getting through the the slower traffic rather so far. It will be lap traffic actually. But yeah, as we said, Ryan Kendall continues to lead. And if we're looking at the alternative strategy, I think it's Brandon Robertson, who stands as the best of the rest, but he's also someone who's probably going to have to come down pit road one more time before the conclusion of the stage. He's currently rounding out the podium right now, so he would claim 8 points, but I have the feeling he might have to come down pit road one more time tonight.
Yeah, he's got 6 laps older tires than John Kinder and Ryan Kendall, so he'll be pushing it really, really close. So if he's able to save and be able to stay out to claim that 3rd spot, that'll be a really, really good points day for him, rounding out stage 1. But as we say, John Kinder working on still trying to gain a little bit of time on Ryan Kendall, but looks like he's keeping about a comfortable gap back to Ryan Kendall. But like we said, we still got 15 laps to go, so he's got plenty of time to get up and claim that top spot.
These two have been with one another for quite a many laps at this point, even through their pit stop. And even through John Kinder actually making up all that time on the first green flag pit stop they had, they have been nose to tail, tooth and nail, fighting things out for, I think, the better part of 50, 60, maybe even 70 laps since the drop of the green flag on that restart. Justin Winters not so far behind. Granted, he's a lap down. He's been shadowing these guys as well. He's going to fight to the inside of Ronnie Shirk. The bottom side giving some air, giving some downforce to John Kinder. It's so important. When you tuck up behind somebody in the corners, you lose all that front downforce. But if you're able to get that left side just a little bit further down the racetrack than the car in front, that gives you that left front downforce, helps you turn, and that's what John Kinder is doing right now as they come up to Michael Brisson and Daniel Worthington, a couple of lap Ford Mustangs that are going to keep fighting right in front of these race leaders and give them nowhere to go. Now Kendall going to fight to the top side of Brisson. Brisson up the racetrack, almost into Kinder.
It looked like Brisson was trying to concede for these leaders right now, but the competitor ahead of him, Daniel Worthington, was still maintaining his race pace and race line, so it just further complex things. In the least, the leaders will get out of it for the time being. But yeah, I think the important thing that Kinder is doing right now is the fact that he's making Ryan Kendall compromise his pure racing line, the line that would get him the fastest around the racetrack. He's in his mirrors, and he has him in his thoughts right now, which is the important thing as the car trying to chase down the leader.
See, Justin Winters goes around that 21 machine of John Kinder, and John Kinder not going to let him get away with it for too long. He's going to try and use some of that draft to catch back up to that 68 machine, and looks like it's working. Ryan Kendall actually got held up there, and he got forced to the top side, but he's going to have a heck of a run coming out of turn 2. Going to be side by side, and he's going to clear that.
Boy, this is great warm-up for any of these guys planning to run in the Daytona 24 here in a couple of weeks, because Ryan Kendall and John Kinder are much faster than all these other cars, but just can't find a way to get by. Finally, Ryan finds some open racetrack. John's still mired back in all of this. And for all the guys on older tires right now, this is great GT3 practice, because they've got to deal with faster cars trying to come by. But man, are things getting tight, rather, running out of room here and there. And we almost had a couple of very close calls. Scott Fritz and Alan Dobbs are just a little ways ahead. And let's talk about the fact that Ryan Kendall is only just behind Alan Dobbs as well. So Alan Dobbs, with that pit penalty, has really hurt himself, and I believe he's already 1 lap down. He is, so he's just north of 2 laps down. Justin Winters right there with him. I'd imagine Justin Winters' issue was then a pit penalty, much like Kansas. So just the way he ended Kansas, he opens up Charlotte, and now to the inside of Ryan Kendall, just on the inside of 10 laps to go in this first stage as well. These lap cars mixing things up with leaders.
The important thing for Kendall was about 2 laps ago when he was able to put about 2 lap cars between him and second place John Kinder, gave him a little bit of breathing room, and now it's going to be double wide for John Kinder. It's going to be, incredibly difficult for him to get past his lap traffic right now. Not a track where you necessarily want to be 3 wide at whatsoever, just a very narrow 1.5-mile track. But now it's down to just Justin Winters, although we do see that Winters has really close pace with these leaders, so it's going to make it very difficult for the 21 of John Kinder to get back up to the race leader. Of course, he still has about 8 laps to the end of the stage, so still a lot of time, but of course, passing is an entirely different beast.
Yeah, trying to get around that 52 machine of Justin Winters, you see he's had the opportunity to do so, and those lap cars just got in the way and kind of slowed his run down. So now he's got to try to cycle back, rethink of what he's going to do, try to get that run down the back straightaway, try to catch as much draft as he can. As you see Alan Dobbs right in front of the leaders there, actually, along with Joshua Abbey. So you see Ryan Kendall and Justin Winters right there, and John Kinder further on back. But we still got 7 laps to go here in the stage, so I wouldn't count John Kinder out of this at any means.
And this mixing of strategies really has been just one big juxtaposition as everything intermingling with one another through the course of all of these, 20 laps that they've been doing so as well. That, 21, 22 laps for Ryan Kendall, John Kinder being on this set of tires and fuel, with everybody else mixed up in between. It's really been intriguing stuff, exciting stuff, as well as Alan Dobbs getting caught up in a battle with Joshua Abbey is about to go another lap down. This is incredible out of Alan Dobbs, who led this thing far and away, put 10 seconds or more on the field, is now about to go 2 laps down, and it's actually by a virtue of speed right now. Ryan Kendall is about to put just that 1 more lap on him. Granted, he didn't have too far to go. Coming to 5 laps to go in stage number 1, though, as Kendall rips the top side high, wide, and handsome. Dobbs going to crowd him up the racetrack just a bit. 3 wide, nice and high as a 68. Oh, and Justin Winters had to back out before things got really hairy.
The quad oval is not the place you want to be 3 wide. At least the leader is going to get away for it for the time being. Still double wide with the 5 of Joshua Abbey. Abbey is the first car outside of the top 10, so unfortunately for him, without a little bit more luck, I think he is going to come up shy of some stage points tonight. But yeah, we just saw how critical it is for the likes of Alan Dobbs to try to stay 1 lap down. By going 2 laps down, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for him to get back into the race with the way the wave around system and lucky dogs work at this point.
Ryan Kendall using that top side to his advantage. I didn't expect the top side to really pay a lot of dividends tonight. But you see, he's surging out of the corners, and every time John Kinder tries to go up there, I don't think he's able to really get the surge out of the corner off the top side like Ryan Kendall's doing. So that's going to make John Kinder have to search around the racetrack and try to use that middle or the bottom lane. You're going to see him try to get around Alan Dobbs there on the bottom, but he's still held up. So that right there, if I'm Ryan Kendall, I like seeing that as we're coming to 3 laps to go at the end of the stage.
Oh, of course, your competition being mired back behind a lap car, one that you're not even fighting with for any kind of position. Great news for Ryan Kendall, especially a lap car as formidable as the number 3 of Alan Dobbs. Won last week at Kansas. He's been so good all season long. Finally breaks through, and now he's really out of this thing, I'd say. 2 laps down, and he's losing speed to these guys. Remember, he had, as John Kinder washed up in the center of 3 and 4. Remember that Alan Dobbs, he pitted earlier than Ryan Kendall and John Kinder, but then had to come back in and take fuel only with a pit penalty. That was 40-some seconds on the pit lane, and boy, it has really written him out of things, hasn't it? 2 laps down now for the number 3. It was 45.7 seconds on the pit lane here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's written him out. Going from P1 by 10 seconds to 2 laps down behind your 2 race leaders. And now it's smooth sailing for John Kinder if he can make up, what is this, a little over a second as we have 1 car through the grass. Was that Brandon Robertson? It was. A caution flies. Stage 1 is over. Ryan Kendall wins it. What just happened?
Robertson was running in the back end of the top 10. He was probably on the border of actually having to come down onto the pit road at the end of the stage for fuel. He was at about 30 or 31 laps. He was coming in.
Oh my gosh.
So what was almost a couple of stage points will go from bad for worse. Fortunately for him, there is some rear end damage, but I have to wonder if that was from a different incident. And then he's going to come down pit road, what appears to be illegally, and as a result, it's going to be an additional penalty for Robertson.
Yeah, that is not ideal at all. So as you see, it looks like he has a little bit of the damage there. Yeah, it's already there. So you see he's going to come down. Looks like he might be going. Oh, he got loose. Just on the transition of banking, didn't get down soon enough and was trying to correct that car. Luckily, didn't get in a wreck right there. Looks like he kept it off the wall, slides to the grass, still trying to correct it. That could have been a lot worse than it could have been. But unfortunate that we didn't get to see this stage wind out as a green flag run, but unfortunately the order, or not unfortunately, but the order is going to stay the same. So we're going to watch the onboard of that here.
This is after damage, but wow, he's slowing way down in the corners here. This is before the yellow flag, believe it or not. He's down in third gear at this point, and he's going to accelerate out of turn 2. You'll hear the upshift. Where is it? You see in the red line, there's the upshift halfway down the backstretch, and he immediately lifts. I'm not sure what was going on here for Brandon Robertson. Was he trying to pit? That's down to third again, but he accelerates. I'm so confused by this and yet so intrigued. I want to find where he gets this damage from. And of course, we've lost him now, so I'll try and track down the 2 car again. This is really odd. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, all around just very uncharacteristic from one of the stronger drivers in the series so far. He is a guy with a win so far this season already, so he is locked into the playoffs. So at this point, his mindset is probably just, let's see if we can pick up more race wins. But yeah, still has rear damage at this point. And just to talk about another point, it looks like the 8 of, I believe it's Nick Mills, did gather some damage. Oh, it's Mitch Smith who gathered a little bit of damage in a caution flag incident from what Trey Patton is hearing.
Yeah, it looked like during that yellow, I'm not quite sure what happened. There was a bit of a stack up going in turn 3 down the back straightaway, and he went down to the apron to avoid that. You'll see a little bit of that left front's kind of crinkled up right in front of that tire. But yeah, I noticed he got into the inside wall where it cuts open before you get into turn 3. So I'm not sure how much that's really going to affect him.
Well, we were trying to find it here, and I'm not so sure we're going to. I think the yellow had already flown at this point in time. But regardless, CJ Mason, currently the race leader. Now, this puts us in the exact same situation we had 1 week ago. We've got to wait and see exactly how Race Control conducts the stage break here, considering we had the caution flag that lap prior. I believe the caution will stand as it should as the mid-race break, but it's a very confusing situation for many, including us, when this kind of thing happens, and it's that in-between moment, and you're just trying to wait and see exactly what's going to happen. Last week we were caught off guard by an extension of the yellow flag. We'll see what they do this week. But John Kinder, he's currently the race leader, but he's not the stage winner. Since we've burned some time here, we are still going to talk to stage winner Ryan Kendall at some point, but it's not going to be under this caution flag, just to make sure he has time to focus on this potentially upcoming restart in a lap and a half. But guys, everything suddenly has changed, and I'm not really sure what's going to happen from here.
I think that's the thing we absolutely love about motorsport is the unpredictability factor. Otherwise, there wouldn't be too much to it from an entertainment standpoint. Of course, it's a lot of fun to watch these guys wrangle these 550 horsepower, 3,500 machines, whether it be in real life or on the iRacing.com service. Absolutely fun stock car racing, that is, of course. And it does appear the guy who was leading, it was CJ Mason of the 96, probably looking to try to snag a bonus point. He does come down pit road, and he was on the end of his fuel stint anyways. He had about 30 laps on that tank of fuel and on that set of tires. And actually, Ryan Kendall does come down pit road to top off, I suppose. And yeah, we'll have to see how this changes things for one of the stronger guys here tonight.
I'd say he's learned from that previous go of pitting just a couple laps after the start of a 100-lap run.
I'm not sure. I have to wonder if maybe he's trying to, yet again, open up an opportunity for him to eliminate a pit stop, although I'm not sure if the math is quite in his favor. It'll be really tight if we were to go to the end.
Yeah, I did some number crunching there. I don't know if it'll help him too much, but, having a few extra laps may pay off in his favor. Definitely saving some laps under caution will help him nonetheless, but we're coming to the green here. You got John Kinder, Adam Lancaster, guy we haven't said too much about today. He's going to restart second. Casey Barlow, Wes Wiggin up in the top 4.
You see some sponsor logos on your screen. A big thanks to Rims 1 and Milner Media and Design. Rims 1 giving that $10 award to the halfway winner. I believe that is still out there for these drivers. So that would go actually to Ryan Kendall under this stage break. Oddly enough, not to the driver he was battling, which is sponsored by Rims 1 out of Mooresville, North Carolina. Coming to the restart to begin stage number 2, John Kinder has a whole lot of hungry dogs behind him. One of them being his teammate, Adam Lancaster, to his outside. Rims 1 and Ghostface make up the front row. We'll come to the green flag at lap 104. Now, lap 105 of 200, just on the far side of 150 miles. Complete the race off into turn 1.
And from here, it's going to be a pure sprint race to the end. Like you said, only 150 miles. And that's going to be about 2 to 3 pit stops. We're going to have to see if the likes of Ryan Kendall are able to knock off a pit stop and pull off some absolute strategy brilliance. But it continues to be this pairing of Rims 1 and Ghost Spray Brewing cars up front. John Kinder leads Adam Lancaster, with the likes of Wes Wiggin and Casey Barlow making their presence known for the first time tonight.
Wes Wiggin running at that top 5. As you see here, Adam Lancaster not being a stranger. He's trying to make his way up to that top spot, still following behind John Kinder as he actually washes up the racetrack a little bit. So that's going to allow Kinder to surge a little bit out of turn 2. And Wes Wiggin behind them as well, Casey Barlow and, Matt Grenier. Matt Grenier is not a stranger to running up front. So expect to see him coming up front very, very soon.
Boys, this is something I haven't seen in a while, actually, where you have a whole lot of lap cars mixed in with a bunch of lead lap cars. We're looking at a bunch of lap cars right now behind CJ Mason. They are not for position because the next car for position is some 2-3 seconds back in Joshua Abbey exiting turn 2 now. So these cars in the middle are all 1 lap down or more. You rarely see this even in NASCAR anymore, where you just get this big mix of drivers on one strategy and drivers on another, and you get drivers then on one lap and drivers on another as they fight in throughout the field. It's such a cool dynamic, though, when you get what is almost like a multi-class battle like you were alluding to earlier. Worthington into Farmer, now bracket up into Maurer, big crash out of turn 2.
So far, everyone keeps it straight.
Whoa, Wiggin!
I don't believe the yellow flag waves from race control. A lot of chaos here. I think we are seeing a slowing of pace, though, so it'll be our 4th caution flag of the night. No, actually, it'll be about our 3rd caution flag, 4th restart of the night for a lot of chaos off of the exit of turn 2.
Yeah, that was pretty chaotic. We're going to get the view of that. You see Worthington get a little bit tight and go up the track, and then just unfortunately bracket there and caught up into Maurer. That wreck could have been a lot. Ooh, hard lick to the inside wall. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Props to these guys for being able to check up in time and get through that. But we're going to take another look at that.
We're going to take a lot of looks at this one, Trey Patton, because a lot just happened. There was that first incident, that primary incident that we already saw, but I want to see this incident with Wes Wiggin. He just gets loose all on his own, right in front of Matt Grenier, gets sideways out of 2, and then you'll see everything happening in behind involving Nathan Maurer and more. That, of course, started with Farmer and Worthington making contact. And we'll take some more looks at all of this. You see this big gaggle of cars fighting through 3 and 4 the lap prior. And, of course, there's Worthington on the bottom side racing with David Farmer in the 84. He is a newcomer, actually. That's the first time we've seen that number 84 on the racetrack. You see David Brackett in there as well. Yeah, Worthington just missed the corner. Brackett, a little bit of netcode contact. Oh my gosh, that was such a hard hit at first. I'm not sure that he gets the inside. Well, he does a little bit. Man, a lot just happened in very little time.
And it looks like it's going to be an engine expiration for the 38, so that will probably mark the end of his night. That is David Brackett, of course. And it's also going to put guys like Nathan Maurer in a really bad spot. And Maurer was someone who had a really strong run up to that point. And how about that drift down the back straight for Wes Wiggin, almost a quarter of a mile of counter steering left and right, back and forth over and over. So some impressive driving. Fortunately, a couple of casualties, but I think that is expected in a race so long. Sometimes, when you have these very few restarts, sometimes you do have to be aggressive to try to make up as many spots as possible, especially when you are potentially fighting to get a wave around or a lucky dog. Yeah,
definitely action-packed. Just the initial incident, as we mentioned, with Wes Wiggin, losing control of his car there, and as you said, was basically drifting and trying to correct that car for about a quarter of a mile. Like, excellent job. And we're gonna try and slide in our stage winner. That was
Ryan Kendall with the number 68 Chevrolet. And Ryan, certainly a very eventful stage number 1, but much like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the second SMI facility on the season, you win stage 1 here at Charlotte.
Yeah, that was an interesting stage. A lot of fuel strategy, a lot of pit strategy. I kind of just played my race there, and it worked out in the end. Had a good long run car, and luckily it went green after that first caution.
Yeah, of course, we were very aware of the pit strategy at hand. It's netted you 33 laps led so far. How about that move to pit on the previous yellow? Are you going to top off on fuel on this one and try and do the same thing?
I think from here on out, as long as it goes green, I'm pulling the same strategy as we did the first time. So I think we're good to go on 2 stops. Hopefully it plays out the same way.
Now, I'd say, considering you've stayed out on this one, you're up to 4th place. I think these guys have caught on. What do you expect to be different this time as you're racing to lap 200 instead of 100?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little tougher here. They definitely caught me on the strategy. They're not going to let that happen again. So just going to have to play it smart here and hopefully just save my tires and be able to beat them at the end.
Now, you've been a quiet rookie so far, but a rookie at that has actually done some really good things. Again, winning a stage at Las Vegas, and now here at Charlotte. How do you look forward to the rest of the season? I mean, this is the halfway point after tonight at Charlotte, and you're getting very, very close to being right back in that battle to point your way in, if not maybe even win a race, to get yourself into the playoffs. How do you see yourself fitting into that entire piece of the puzzle?
Yeah, fortunately I had to miss a race, so that kind of put me at a disadvantage here in the points situation, but my goal is to win a race and not have to worry about it. The mile and a halves are pretty strong for me, so, the upcoming schedule is pretty good. I'm just going to try my best here and win a race and not have to worry about pointing my way in.
Well, it's looking pretty good for you so far. You're going to restart 4th place on this restart. Best of luck to you. Hopefully we're talking to you later on.
Thank you. Hope to talk to you later.
And that's Ryan Kendall winning stage number 1. It was a bit of a caution before we could talk to him, but hey, Ryan Kendall in the number 68, looking pretty good. Points for success, I would say, Trey Shuttlesworth, as we've seen him do so far. Again, he's got 33 laps led so far in the afternoon, now only 3 spots out of leading some more, and the 3 cars ahead of him, I'd say he's very capable of passing. The 4 cars behind him, I'd say he's very capable of holding off. I think that 68 may have just set himself up for quite the good ending to this afternoon, but there are still 80-some laps to go. Pace car lights are off. It's lap 112 of 200. Shuttlesworth, they're coming to you.
And I'm sure it's going to be another exciting restart. And like you said, Andrew, he might not have that strategy advantage that he had in the first stage, but we've seen that he has some of the best pace in the field tonight, and some of his strongest competitors are mired back in the field a little bit. We know Alan Dobbs has had his fair share of issues. It's going to be interesting for me to see if John Kinder is able to make his way back up there. He's only sitting in the 8th position right now, starting on the outside of row 4. Not too far back from Kendall, but Kendall will have a bit of an advantage over him.
Yeah, having that track position is really going to be key for Ryan Kendall, as we're going to see that pace car take a hard left. CJ Mason, Matt Grenier on the front row, Joshua Abbey and Ryan Kendall rounding out row number 2. And we are green on lap number 113 of 200. And Matt Grenier, with a heck of a restart, it's going to surge by about a car length and a half.
How about what was almost a 3-wide battle with Nick Mills in the midst? Here comes John Kinder to the inside of the 46. He makes that pass rather easily down on the bottom side with some new Goodyear Eagles and some new Sunoco race fuel in that number 21. Very far down to the inside, almost to the apron, was Jack Bauer. Things shaking up quite a lot right around this 5th place position. And Ryan Kendall already up into 3rd place. Got by CJ Mason pretty easily. That's why everybody was fanning out down the backstretch. We're going to follow CJ Mason as he is headed in the wrong direction. Here comes Nick Mills, and here comes Wyatt Brackett down to the bottom side. Wes Wiggin going to follow as well.
Mason doing what he can right now, but it looks like he's struggling to get his momentum up on this restart right now as he sits double wide right now and continues to fall back. He's sitting in the 7th spot right now, and his next challenger is going to be Wes Wiggin. That is, of course, if the 33 gets by him, of Wyatt Brackett. Brackett, I believe, is actually down right now. So we go back forward, and it's Matt Grenier. He was 2nd place last week. He's currently trying to fend off Joshua Abbey for the lead, but Abbey is looking to succeed him for the lead right now. Put Joshua Abbey on the top of the leaderboard.
You look in there, he's going to slide up the racetrack and take the lead, but Ryan Kendall right there going down the inside. Jack Bauer right behind him. And then right behind him, you have Justin Winters, not for position, but still in the picture, trying to get a lap back. Or John Kinder, excuse me, I'm sorry. John Kinder up into the mix, up into that fourth spot, back from ninth on that restart. So he's made some ground up, trying to slice his way into that top three. As you see Ryan Kendall surge that lead, and he is pulled away.
That was a big bobble out of Kinder. He falls back a little bit down the back stretch. He will go, and you saw all that time he lost to the 48, the 5. Those two cars are not teammates, but they look like they should be. Wonder about that. Joshua Abbey holding pretty steady there in second place. Jack Bauer trying to find a way around. He'll go to the bottom side of the quad oval, almost clips the grass in that first portion, and he will get to the inside of Joshua Abbey and try to make easy work down there on the blue line. It's not going to work out for him, though, as here comes John Kinder. That top side looks to be a bit more serviceable as Nick Mills kisses that outside, just kisses the outside safer barrier out of turn number 2. Jack Bauer still trying to fight off John Kinder and fight back up to Joshua Abbey, but I think that 21 car just a good bit faster.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter whether he's on the inside or the outside line, just a lot of very strong pace in that car tonight. And I think we saw that in the first stage, and it's just something we very consistently see out of John Kinder. Even if he isn't a driver, I don't believe, with a win yet this season, he's always someone that we know can contend here in the Bluegrass iRacing series. Still double wide here for the third position, and of course Joshua Abbey is not out of the woods quite yet as he continues to maintain that outside line, but clean air is why I believe Jack Bauer looks to the inside. He's going to be side-by-side, contending very tightly for that second place spot.
Yeah, this second place battle right now is the hottest battle on track. They're still side by side, going into it, down, painting that blue line, excuse me. You see John Kinder going down there. He gets a little bit of a bobble coming out of turn 2, but still going to be side by side as they go into turn 3. John Kinder going to follow suit, pushing Jack Bauer ahead of Joshua Abbey for that second position.
The 5 car finally giving up on the top side, gives up second, gives up third. Now he's in fourth trying to hang on to it, but he just might give that up as well. And Wyatt Brackett going to follow. Oh no, actually here comes Casey Barlow to the inside of Wyatt Brackett. Pushes that 33 up out of the way. The neon green and yellow 51. He won at Martinsville. He's not been at all remarkable today, but that was a remarkable move at least to get to the inside for a moment. And he's looking like he obviously wants to pass a few more cars and make himself known. He's got that one win on the season so far. He wants to add a couple of more, and he's trying to find a good way to do it here at Charlotte. He's sitting in 6th, doesn't gain that spot, but man, what a move that almost was. Back up to the front, Ryan Kendall still leads now by a second even over Jack Bauer, who's finally sorted himself free a little bit of the grasp of John Kinder, and things starting to spread out for first, second, and third, despite Joshua Abbey still being in the neighborhood and knocking on the door of John Kinder.
We do backtrap, have to wonder if those top 3 are the 3 we're going to be talking about the rest of the way. But as soon as I say that, we still have guys that are hanging in there. The likes of McInerney and Joshua Abbey who are hanging tight right now. Backtrack a little bit farther. We see Adam Lancaster and Justin Winters. Winters, he was 2 laps down. I still believe he is about 2 laps down right now. Had a speeding penalty. We're assuming that would have been in the penalty. Probably a speeding penalty on the pit entry. That's what we see be so difficult at racetracks like this, whether it be this track, Kansas Speedway, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. These kind of traps are incredibly difficult to get onto the pit entry. Now we see Alan Dobbs. He is back down to 1 lap down right now, so he has a little bit of a ways to go to get up to Wyatt Brackett. And if he can overtake Brackett, he will actually be the man in the lucky dog position. And from there, all he needs is a luckily timed yellow, and then he has it.
You see him get around that 46 machine. He's going to try his best to try and get back up to the front of this pack to unlap himself. He's definitely got the pace to do it. I don't know, like we said earlier, he may have had some damage. I'm not sure, but definitely that speeding penalty did not help him. But looking right now, he's got some pace. He's got some draft from this pack ahead of him. You see further up in that pack, you have Wyatt Brackett also a lap down, but we're going to turn our attention up to the front as Jack Bauer has gained about 0.8 of a second on our leader, Ryan Kendall, and he is still coming, surging for that lead.
Yeah, I'll be honest here, Trey. I looked away for a few moments. I was checking our chat on Facebook and YouTube. I looked back up, and suddenly, we've got a battle for the race lead. Here comes Jack Bauer. Where did he come from? He wants the race lead off into turn number 1. He is going to nose ahead, side by side, bottom and top side out of the 48 and 68. They draw even down the backstretch. It's a drag race for the race lead. John Kinder waiting in the wings. He sees this happening up ahead. He's trying to get his go on, and he's trying to make up all the time he can on these two and try and capitalize on at least one of them. Jack Bauer out of turn number 4. He is going to take the race lead by speed, and he is the new leader at Charlotte.
And Bauer has a lot to gain right now. He actually came into tonight outside of the top 20 in points, so a little bit of ways to go to get back into the playoff picture. But as I was talking to series director Jason Collins, but I completely blanked there for a second. Jack Bauer has been showing up a lot to the practice sessions, and it is definitely paying off. He moves his way up into the lead for the first time tonight. I do have to wonder, though, is Ryan Kendall taking it easy on his tires? Because we did see John Kinder get past him on one of those earlier stints, only for Kendall to get right back past him before that pit cycle.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing, if he might be taking it a little bit easy right now. That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't count Ryan Kendall out of the picture yet. You know, he's still in his sights, but you know, further on back, you see John Kinder about a second behind Jack Bauer. So, I mean, he's still not completely out of it yet, because we saw, you know, when Jack Bauer went to take the lead, he was a second behind Ryan Kendall. So, I mean, he's still got plenty of time to get up there, and it's still kind of early on into this run. These guys still have about 23 laps before they're going to come back down and pit.
Actually, I have to correct you there. They've got about 10 to 15, because remember, we can only go a half distance on fuel. We've got a half fuel load, so Jack Bauer's got around those 15 laps to go. That would put him at 33, so given the caution flag, that would be close. However, Matt Grenier did not pit the last time we had a yellow flag, a stoppage in action, so Matt Grenier will have to pit here about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 laps, and that's really going to shake things up. Really not entirely certain of the pit strategy just yet. We'll, of course, update all of you a bit more once we see when these guys do come down the pit lane. A whole lot shaping up in front of our very eyes, including Jack Bauer leading the way. You're going to see a lot of cars mixed in here and there. In fact, we saw Alan Dobbs a little while ago, that silver car there behind Matt Grenier, and we also see the black and silver car of Wyatt Brackett up here. They are not for position. I want to make sure everybody knows that. We're not missing these battles on the racetrack because they aren't battles. They're just cars that are battling in different races. In fact, from Matt Grenier here, the 15 black and red Ford Mustang, to the next car for position is Joshua Abbey right there heading into turn 3. And what a good run for him as well. You know, we've talked about the great run for Jack Bauer, the great run for Ryan Kendall. We haven't talked nearly as much about Joshua Abbey, who was randomly cycling himself out onto the lead lap and into the race lead during those first few pit cycles. Trey Shuttlesworth, this 5 car suddenly is going to have a good run, I think. If this thing holds as is, boy, he's got a top 5 or not, or better. I was going to say if not, mixed a few things up there. Just like he's mixing things up, getting up into 5th place. He's got Casey Barlow behind, but Casey I don't think has the 1.5 mile speedway speed that we've seen out of some of these other drivers. I think Josh Abbey's got a lap on most of his competition he really has to worry about.
No, as you said, Andrew, as long as he executes, he's in a good spot to, at minimum, get that top 5. And we've seen a lot of trouble for competitors ahead of him, whether it be speeding onto pit road or having to maneuver through very dangerous lap traffic. There's a lot of things that can equalize things for Joshua Abbey and get him back up into the picture. So, you know, it might take a little bit of luck, you know, a few things to end up going his way, but he's definitely in the spot where he could definitely come out of here and really steal something tonight.
Further on back, or not further on back, looking on that there, speaking of the strategy, trying to stumble on words there. He is trying to cycle himself out, like we said, to maybe slot himself into that top 5 at the end there. Looks like Brandon Robertson has found himself on pit road. Matt Grenier should be finding himself on pit road here soon, as he's got about a couple laps left. And then about 6 or 7 laps, we'll see the leaders come on pit road. So expect to see maybe Ryan Kendall trying to maybe push a little harder, trying to get up to Jack Bauer to maybe see what John Kinder did on that one pit cycle.
Lap 134 of 200. Back at Kansas 1 week ago, this would be the final lap, and Jack Bauer would win this race right here at the completion of 200 miles. However, we have to go to 200 laps, which is 300 miles, so mark it down, 100 miles to go for Jack Bauer to win here at Charlotte. If he can do it, boy, what a story that would be. You know, we put those polls up on our Facebook stream asking if we'd see a new winner today, asking who the most recent winner might be to double up on the season so far, get their second win on the season. I'm not sure that even the guys out there watching, those of you that did vote on the will we see another new winner, I'm not sure you guys had Jack Bauer in your cards, but if anybody did, boy, I hope you put some money on it, because this 48 car is looking pretty good. Over the course of this run now, he's held this gap, Trey Shuttlesworth, back to the 68 and 21 car. He's not letting up at all. And without a really big shift in dynamic of this race, I'm not sure he's going to have a whole lot of competition.
No, if he continues with this consistent pace, he may be the man that's going to seal the deal here tonight. No, we're getting to the back end of this green flag pit cycle. Only a couple more laps until they can come down pit road. Probably about 5 laps at maximum for the leaders, Jack Bauer, Ryan Kendall, John Kinder. In fact, Matt Grenier, who is running in about the 5th position, did have to come down pit road. So things are going to, definitely get intriguing here. But no, Jack Bauer is doing the job right now, without a doubt, but 2 very strong cars behind him, so it's going to be really fun to follow into the next 100 miles.
See, we're even talking about being on these older tires. We're talking about maintaining that gap. He actually pulled away a little bit more as you guys were talking. So I feel like he's finally got into the groove of things. As you mentioned earlier, Jason said he's been coming in, putting in the time in practice, and it has definitely been showing off this season. Even last week, putting on a heck of a show, running in that top 5, and tonight he's on the point, got a 1.3 second gap. Very impressive run tonight, and hopefully he can continue to do so and maybe pull off that W.
We pull up the weather graphic because we can see that the air temp is held pretty steady at about 81, 82 degrees, but the track temp has dropped significantly from 92 down to 89. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but boy, that is massive for these drivers. And you can see from the onboard here with Jack Bauer, there's a lot more shade, a lot more darker pavement. The lights have not quite come on here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They won't for a while more. You see blue sky up above these guys, but things are starting to cool down. That day-to-night transition we talked about a little while ago finally coming into its own, and you can see, boy, that is some tire fall off. 7 seconds of a lap. That is incredible how much these tires lose speed, and that's why you've got to be the first one in, the first one out. We're just waiting on the first move from these guys up at the front. Nick Mills, he makes his pit stop finally, and he's just now losing some positions to the guys that are further back. Nick Mills still in the top 10. We're waiting for cars to pass him. Alan Dobbs will finally come around and put him 10th. So he's got a lap on a lot of the competition. We're looking at, 9 cars in the lead lap? That is really going to save some of these guys who need to have a good run, like Jack Bauer, Ryan Kendall, Adam Lancaster even, who we haven't talked much about today. Trey Patton, you mentioned him on the restart. He comes into this afternoon, let's see, only 1 point to the good. So he really needs this afternoon to go well, especially with those big stage points from some of the guys that he was battling.
Definitely, but all it would take is one additional caution flag to really shake things up and potentially put some new guys back onto the lead lap if they're able to take a wave round. So we're going to see, of course, Matt Grenier pitted a few laps ago, but it looks like Joshua Abbey is going to be the first of the lead lap cars to come down pit road. Of course, with the right things to go his way, he could be someone that could take advantage and take the lead. And then 1 lap later, it's going to be Ryan Kendall coming down pit road, and this should, in theory, bring most of the rest of the leaders down. And it looks like it's a relatively clean stop there for Kendall. And now it's Jack Bauer, our race leader. He's going to be down pit road, and not quite the money stop. Should be about 1 more pit stop for these guys, but this one is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, John Kinder following suit behind him. Alan Dobbs, the first car a lap down, going to follow suit right behind them. Lancaster, Ronnie Shirk, and the 84 is also going to fall in right behind them. So green flag pit stops are officially underway for most of the field. You see Ryan Kendall exiting pit road. He's going to cycle himself out. Looks like in the 8th spot as of right now, trying to get that lap back. Adam Lancaster going to cycle out as our current leader.
It's all going to change as these laps go by. There goes Ed Osborne down the pit lane as well. Everybody had this lap marked. It was just a clean green run to the end of that first tank of fuel to finish this race off. He goes by Casey Barlow, does Ryan Kendall. A few more cars up ahead. That's John Kinder, and Alan Dobbs on the bottom side gets by John Kinder, but he's going to exit well behind Jack Bauer. What a green flag pit stop for the 48 car. That's extremely important for Jack Bauer. The fact that he executed that well. Granted, he did run that first lap on those new tires while, of course, Kendall was pitting. So that's the point of the undercut, to gain a little bit of time that way. So paying off certainly for the 48 of Jack Bauer. Matt Grenier back there, or sorry, up there in the lead position. We mentioned earlier on, well, I mentioned earlier on, that we'd talk some more about our partners here at the Bluegrass iRacing Series and PitStop TV. Again, Rims 1 providing that halfway winner bonus of $10 to each stage winner effectively at this point. So in addition to the 10 bonus points, you get 10 bonus dollars, I would say. That's quite an actual bonus. I mean, think about it. That's almost a car or track on the iRacing.com service. So if you don't have any of these tracks that you're going to when you're brand new to a series, you're almost funding the rest of your series purchases. As far as Milner Media and Designs, boy, they've painted up a lot of these cars in this field quite nicely as well. You see them mostly on the dirt track junkie machines like Joshua Abbey, Daniel Worthington, and Wes Wiggin. Pretty good job they're doing over there at Milner Media and Design. We also want to remind everybody, about Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. Trey Shuttlesworth, you provide the image you want, and they will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional info. And use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off. Before Jack Bauer makes his pass for the lead, can you tell us about Permanent Makeup at Cryo in Maine?
It'd be my pleasure to talk a little bit about Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine. So the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe and personalized services. You can contact Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine at and we are seeing this battle for the lead, actually.
I was going to say, you failed a little bit, but hey, go on.
Of course. So put Jack Bauer back on the top of the leaderboard. And we are seeing that those older tires are starting to not pay dividends for McIntyre. He was taking advantage earlier, but now it will be Bauer taking the lead. But just to talk a little bit more about Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine.
Caution changes
this
everything.
Does change a lot.
Oh my gosh, and it's Gary Jaworski on the bottom side. He's close. In fact, he came into, he went into Kansas, just outside of that points battle to get himself into the playoffs. Now a little further out of it, you see the very damaged nose of that 18 Toyota Camry. Let's go back and see what happens to Gary Jaworski. Oh, he's got help. Was that Nathan Maurer involved? Wow, what a header he took to the inside wall. No surprise, we have a caution flag for this one. Let's see, he's got Brian Terry. He's passing up there with Wes Wiggin. Joshua Abbey suddenly has a lot of nose damage. We'll see if we can follow up on that one because that's a big story as well for Joshua Abbey. Suddenly out of this one. But Gary Jaworski, what in the world happens? He just drives onto the apron. I mean, he just drove straight onto the blue line.
And it looked like as he lost the momentum, it just didn't give a lot of opportunity for Nathan Maurer to react. Maurer does end up making a little bit of contact, and that's enough to send Jaworski around. And this is the caution that's really, really going to shake things up. Of course, these drivers are probably going to have to make one more pit stop after this, but we should see some guys maybe try to come down pit road and take advantage of some green, fresh Goodyear tires.
I'm gonna reiterate something we mentioned earlier. I talked about you don't want to touch that apron at all. You want to get as close as you can to that line. As Andrew mentioned, I think he said 24 degrees of banking, just in the turns. And when you got half of that car on the banking and half of it off of it, and especially when you're coming to the point out of the corner, you're going to upset that car heavily as you see him trying to correct that car as he kept going and unfortunately ran out of room, hit the wall, and Maurer had nowhere to go and sent him to the inside wall. That right there is something you don't want to see and don't want to do. So maybe for some of these guys that are running close to the apron like that, they can look at that and go, oh, well, I don't want to do that. So, but as we said, the window of opportunity has opened as that changed strategy for a complete loop, and we might have a completely different race now.
We're going to try and find out what has happened here to Joshua Abbey. You see, no front-end damage there, I don't think. And apologies for the replay constantly switching over to Bryce Lee Hunter. Not sure why. Things work in weird ways. But we want to find out what happens to Joshua Abbey because he had such a great run going on inside the top 5. He de-renders for us there, and he's already got the damage, actually. So that could be a rendering mistake, but man, that is crushing if that damage ends up impacting him in any notable way. And yep, there it goes, right back to the 9 car. We'll see if maybe it happened on pit entry, possibly. That actually may have done it, so we'll see if we can get the pit entry here for Joshua Abbey. That may tell the story. It is right there! Wow! Just comes in, gets a bit loose, and we'll watch this from his onboard. That's a view. There we go.
So yeah, we'll go on board from the roof, and he does also catch the wall at a very awkward angle, and it wasn't the safer barrier, it was some concrete, so it's probably going to be a harder hit than he would have had if he would have nicked that safer barrier,
man.
And that could be engine damage as well.
Seeing that wreck right there kind of reminds me when Mark Martin kind of went through pit road. I mean, obviously not at the same capacity as Mark Martin was, flying through pit road, but thankfully on the virtual service here that nobody was hurt from that, but that could have impacted his race and made it a lot worse than it was. So fortunately for him, able to get away with a little bit of damage, but definitely going to make his run as he was up in the top 5 a little more difficult now.
So under yet another caution flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 150 laps in the books. This is a sight well worth seeing. Jack Bauer, the race leader. John Kinder, second place. Casey Barlow, third. How about Adam Lancaster, fourth? Ronnie Shirk Jr., fifth. It's Ryan Kendall, Nick Mills, Matt Grenier, Wes Wiggin, and Brandon Robertson. Only four of these drivers in the top 10 has ever won a Bluegrass iRacing Series race. That leaves 6, one of which is leading, that has never won a race ever in this league. Only 2 of them have won a race this season, so 8 looking for their first win on the season in just this top 10. Boy, things are changing up, and if there's any one thing that I love about motorsports, it's parity.
That is absolutely the name of the game. Otherwise, it could be seen very easily as just a couple of, or not couple, several cars going in circles for a couple of hours. But being able to, open this opportunity to tell a lot of stories, to have underdogs come up here and, really make a name for themselves. I think that's the beauty of sports in general. Because if everything were to go as predicted, there wouldn't be a lot of fun in it. That's the unpredictability factor is what makes anything very intriguing. And tonight we have a couple of people that could definitely do it. Our true contender in the first half of the race, Alan Dobbs, before he had issues, before he had that speeding penalty, he does get back onto the lead lap, so perhaps he can make his presence known once more. But then we also do have the likes of John Kinder and Ryan Kendall, who are also having strong runs, and it'll be interesting to see if they can get back up there. Of course, Kinder does start on the outside of row 1.
You want to talk about unpredictability, as we mentioned earlier, Casey Barlow up into the 4th spot, Ronnie Shirk in the 5th spot, Adam Lancaster back up front starting 4th. This is the kind of run he needs, being close to that cutoff, being up front in the top 10, at the latter half of this race. We got less than 50 laps to go, so it's go time. It's time for these guys to stay up front. It's and it's crunch time, and try to get these points as much as they can. Pace car going to go off. Jack Bauer and John Kinder going to lead us to the green right here. And what a jump for Jack Bauer. He's going to surge away by 6-7 car lengths.
Lap 153 now of 200. What a restart for the Chevrolet Camaro of Jack Bauer. Casey Barlow now his closest competition in the Tony's Pizza, number 51. And then it's a gaggle there on back. Ronnie Shirk Jr. leading the way of this group with Ryan Kendall down to the inside. Shirk going to lose that spot. Here comes Adam Lancaster. He gets that spot now as well as Casey Barlow's headed the wrong direction.
He's not the only one. Barlow and Shirk are falling off a cliff right now, and it's going to move. Oh, it is Jack Bauer who leads, but John Kinder, who leads this gaggle of cars right now, he has a lot of strong cars behind him. Ryan Kendall, who is starting in the 3rd or 4th row, already makes his way to the back end of the podium right now, and he does have a strong car of Lancaster behind him, but he also has the guy he's been contending with all night ahead of him, and that's John Kinder. But of course, ahead of them, it's still Jack Bauer.
Jack Bauer definitely making his presence known tonight, being up front for the most of the second half of the race, being up in the top 5. All this practice definitely coming into his favor here. John Kinder makes his way up to that back bumper, as we're seeing here on the onboard of Jack Bauer. John Kinder about 2/10 behind him. Ryan Kendall following suit. And we have a caution on the speedway.
Caution flag flying. We look back through who might be slowed down. Looks like it might have possibly been Brian Terry, trying to find who else might be slow. And looks like it's actually going to be Scott Fritz in the number 1. He's got a lot of left side damage. Let's take a look and find out how that comes to be. The number 1 is on the outside of Daniel Worthington. Oh, there's a slow car on the bottom. Oh my! CJ Mason. What just happened?
In the least, we do see the end result, and that's the fact that Mason gets loose. He hasn't been up front for a lot of the day. I think we did see him in the top 5 at one point, maybe on a strategy call. We will backtrack a little bit, go on board with him through 1 and 2. But yeah, he gets loose, gets back onto the apron, and of course from there it can be relatively tough to save the car. And it comes back up into the racetrack, right into the path of Scott Fritz. And it looks like one other car is a major victim without a hood there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who that was that got collected. I thought he was going to get through that, but as you see there, he went away with no front end. We're going to get another look of that there. I mean, as we mentioned before, he got a little bit loose going on there. Here's the onboard of Scott Fritz from that roof cam. See, he's going up the track. You see Mason down on the bottom, just nowhere to go. What a hit.
Never had time to react, and that's the kind of wreck that hurts the most when you're in one of these races. There's literally nothing you can do, and suddenly your car is completely destroyed, and you're going to have a rough go of things. Somebody has parked their black Chevrolet Blazer in front of the America's Home for Racing insignia there on the inside of the racetrack, and they need to move it, because, boy, that has ruined that shot. But Jack Bauer is the race leader. We see his on board here. What do you say we go ahead and try to talk to somebody? I don't think I see Jack Bauer in the Discord to speak to, so unfortunately we can't give you the driver of the 48, but we can give you the next best, and we can bring in John Kinder. He's headed your way, Trey Shuttlesworth.
And John Kinder, who's been running relatively strong throughout the evening so far, whether it be on the top of the leaderboard or near the top 5 somewhere, he's been all over in contention throughout the night. So, John, so far, what do you make of your night, and what do you plan to do to go out there and claim the victory?
Well, looks like we had a pretty good strategy at the beginning of the race. We kind of planned for one set of tires at the end, but we'll see if that plays into it.
All right, and then how are you looking in terms of tire allotments? We know that guys were going to have to be very scarce in using them just because you have 6 to use over 200 laps.
Yeah, I got one. I should have one extra set in case of late caution. And so we're kind of planning our pit strategy around that, keeping one extra set. So we'll see how this plays out. We got to ride these tires out for a little while, put on one more set, and then we'll have one in the pits in case of late caution.
Yep, that's fair enough, John. And then otherwise, what are you looking to make of this night? Is it win or nothing, or knowing that you have a pretty big points gap, just go out there, have a strong result?
At this point, we're going to go for a win if it's there. If not, we still got to keep the points in mind. It pays something to be the overall season champion, so we're keeping an eye on that. I think I was about 5 points out of it coming in, so points are always an issue, but if we got a chance to win, we're gonna give it a shot.
And it looks like you're in a relatively good place here, coming down to the last 50 laps or so. John, before you head out, anyone you want to thank out there?
Obviously, Rims 1, Ghostface Brewery, my teammate Adam Lancaster, really all the guys in the Bluegrass iRacing series. We've all kind of worked together, helped each other get faster, so it's just a blast, man. And thank you guys for what you do.
Of course, and thank you, John, for talking to us here.
All right, man, appreciate it.
And that was John Kinder, who's doing a very strong job tonight so far at Charlotte. He runs in second right now.
He makes a very good point of, if we have the opportunity to go for the win, we're going to go for it. I mean, who wouldn't go for it? But obviously he stands with the point of, if we're not going for it, we don't have the chance. We're going to try and have the strongest finish we can. And he's got the right attitude about that. He's not far out of the overall points battle, as he mentioned, for the season championship. So he's going to go for that. So going into that, you know, he's got a really good chance to do that, having a strong run overall tonight and, you know, just over the season in general. But look, as you look right behind John Kinder, you have that 68 of Ryan Kendall. He's going to be right there. Adam Lancaster, once again, back up into the top 4. So this top 3, even Matt Grenier starting back in 6th here, it's going to be pretty dicey. So we're going to have a lot of fast guys up here trying to get to the front before something happens.
We'll be coming to yet another restart. In fact, it'll be the 6th time that these guys double up and take a green flag this afternoon and evening. Lap 159 coming to lap 160. Jack Bauer, the race leader. Then it's John Kinder, Adam Lancaster. Actually, no. Ryan Kendall on the inside of Adam Lancaster. Then Casey Barlow, Matt Grenier. It's Nick Mills on the inside of Brandon Robertson. And the number 7 of Rodney Shirk Jr. on the inside of Wyatt Brackett. Choosing the outside line is Jack Bauer. It's going to give him a bit of a launch there on the top side. We'll see if he can put some ground between he and John Kinder once more. The green flag will fly, and we get right back to it. 41 laps to go. It's the 48 looking to put them all away.
And what we're seeing yet again is that the leader has a massive advantage. And if we have a green-white checker, I have the feeling that it might be pure advantage for the race leader because it just takes so long for those cars behind him to get the momentum to where they might have to make a very daring overtake attempt on turn 3 of the white flag. It just takes that long to get back up there. And as I say that, it's John Kinder leading the way right now. Only about a 10th off race leader Jack Bauer.
We're looking here on board Adam Lancaster trying to get up to Ryan Kendall, as John Kinder is making that bottom side work right now as he's side by side with race leader Jack Bauer. Going to try and use that side draft, trying to go down the back straightaway into turn 3 to search for the race lead. Going to still be side by side, tight battle. Looks like that outside line is going to play into favor for that 48 machine, and he's going to surge away and still have the lead.
Boy, what a green-white checkered finish that could have been. We did put up a new poll over on Facebook. Loving putting these things out. If you think Jack Bauer can win this race, go tell us so on our Facebook stream. You can vote on whether or not Jack Bauer can get this race win. Ryan Kendall up into 2nd place. John Kinder falls back to the clutches of his teammate Adam Lancaster. The 21 and 28 nose to tail 3rd and 4th place. Grenier fights to the inside of Robertson. They've got Barlow fighting there as well. Nick Mills is holding pretty steady at this point in the top 10. You see this 3-car battle sail off into turn 1. Barlow on the inside in that very neon 51. A throwback to, of course, Days of Thunder. On the outside is Brandon Robertson, and he's going to work with his teammate to try and get by the 51 car.
And Robertson, I think he was pushing the back end of the 15 of Matt Grenier, and it's going to work to the advantage of both of them because right now Casey Barlow is going to be stuck on the inside, and he's not going to have the momentum that Robertson does off the exit of the corner. So as we come to the completion of 163, lap 163 that is, not too much time left, but it's still side-by-side between Brandon Robertson and Casey Barlow. I think Barlow will have to concede this corner, though, and now he has Nick Mills behind him.
Nick Mills having a great run tonight. You know, it has been further on back a little bit. Haven't heard or said really much about him as we're going to go on board with him. He's going to go to the inside of that 51 machine of Barlow, and he's going to try and use that bottom side to catch up to Brandon Robertson and try to slice his way up into that top 5 spot here soon.
Just on the inside of 40 laps to go on the far side of 35, and wow, the 51 actually fights right back by the 46. Oh, and Nick Mills tried to clear himself to the top side, but he had a 33 car on his outside. That was Wyatt Brackett. How about Alan Dobbs? Trey, you mentioned he got back onto the lead lap, but I didn't expect him fighting into the top 10 quite this quickly. He's in front of Joshua Abbey, Ronnie Shirk, and some more. He is in 10th position, 2 seconds out of the race lead, but 8 cars between he and Jack Bauer. He's got a lot of work ahead if he wants to get back up there and fight for the race win, including one more pit stop.
It's a good point, Andrew, but I think it could definitely work in his favor if he's able to come down onto the pit road at a very specific point in time, which allows him to get clean track. We've seen that he can really pull away with a clean bit of racetrack, and he has a lot of variability in terms of when he can come down onto the pit road. These guys do have to come down onto the pit road one more time here tonight, but I feel like there might be about 10 to 15 laps of option tonight. He does have to get past a lot of strong race cars. It's going to be interesting to see if he tries to do it on pace alone or if he tries to incorporate some pit strategy. And yeah, the sunset is definitely, these drivers are definitely feeling that presence, especially through turns 3 and 4, where you can see it just covering those grandstands, but the grandstands don't cover all of 3 and 4.
Talking about pit strategy and pace with Alan Dobbs, you see he's definitely got some pace as he moves Wyatt Brackett up the track. He has 7 lap fresher tires than our current leaders right now. So we do know that they have to come back down. So maybe having those a little bit fresher tires by about 6 or 7 laps may end up paying him some dividends as he falls back behind Wyatt Brackett there. And they're going to try and work their way around Casey Barlow.
Side by side are Brackett and Barlow, but man, Dobbs really wants to get by. Oh, he right rears Wyatt Brackett. Was no intention, I'll say that, but he just turned in a little bit now. Oh man, he just completely put him in the wall. That one, that's a little harder to defend. Turn 1 is simply trying to turn in, and they just made a little bit of contact. The second one, I'm not really sure what happened, but oh my, Wyatt Brackett is destroyed.
And Brackett was a driver who also was 1 lap down, so he did a lot of work to get back where he was on the lead lap, back in contention. As you can see, I don't think there was any intent with that content. I didn't catch this initial incident. It looks like he washes up the racetrack just a little bit too much into his competitor in Wyatt Brackett. And unfortunately for Brackett, that's probably going to mark the end of the day. You see that smoke coming out of the rear end of his Chevrolet Camaro. His engine has probably expired as a result, so probably going to have to pack it up and put it in the virtual hauler.
Very unfortunate for Wyatt Brackett. Had a really, really good night going on. We're going to take another look at this here. You see Alan Dobbs go to the top side. That's where he made the contact with the right rear. You see Dobbs going down the track, washes up a little bit. Looks like Brackett came down a little bit. I'm not sure if there was any contact there, maybe some net code. But unfortunately, Wyatt Brackett got the short end of the stick coming to that. And that is why we are under caution on lap 170 of 200.
The turn 1 contact is just racing. Alan Dobbs, I'm sure, had been cleared by his iRacing spotter, which its parameters are a little bit, may we say, off sometimes. It'll clear you, and obviously cars moving around all the time. It's not quite as accurate as a real life spotter, I'll say that. And he might have been cleared to the inside, or sorry, behind the 33 car of Wyatt Brackett. The turn 2. We'll leave that one up to everybody watching. It's really hard to call one way or the other. Unfortunately, what we can say for sure is Wyatt Brackett is complete junk after that. The 33 car is completely junked. I'm not sure. Like Trey said, I'm not so sure that motor isn't expired after that. It isn't damaged to the point where he can't get back out there. What this does do, however, is really shake things up back in the front, and this could be the biggest detriment to Jack Bauer's race yet. This could be what keeps Jack Bauer from winning a race, yet catapults Alan Dobbs back at a chance to win. So, oddly enough, the other half of that caution flag, Alan Dobbs, is now back into second place with what we've seen to be the best car in the field for the second week running.
Yeah, these two have been doing a strong job, and looking at timing and scoring, I see that these guys had a much shorter pit stop than a lot of their competitors. They were only in for about 6 seconds, whereas guys behind them, Jack Bauer, Mac Rainier, were in for about 14 seconds. So at maximum, they could have only taken 2 tires. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they have issues in terms of not having the grip of their competitors behind them.
Yeah, considering the fact 2-tire strategy, we have almost a full pit cycle. We're just under 30 laps to go. So I'm not quite sure if I would have said 2 tires is the way to go. But then again, I'm not the one in the car making the shots or calling the shots, excuse me. But these guys definitely have the talent to maybe have it execute and work in their favor. There's only one way to find out, but definitely be on the lookout for the guys further on back, Jack Bauer right behind them, four tires. Those are definitely going to pay dividends to them in the end. So hopefully maybe it'll work out in their favor.
And with this break in the action, we're going to take a chance to talk to another driver before this thing wraps itself up. And that next driver is Matt Grenier, who has really had a good race going for him so far, but now you find yourself 4th place in the midst of an ever-changing pit strategy battle. It looks like everybody's just made their money stop. You line up 4th for this next restart, Matt. What do you make of your chances?
You know what? We're going to put the gas down and hope for the best here. Keep it clean. Last 25, 30 laps and see what we got for them. These guys are fast, so we'll give it our best.
So, of course, it's been a wild pit strategy day all day long. You've had, of course, that big mix-up in the early goings with that early caution that set some guys up to go to the end on one less stop. Where were you in all of that? What went into the decision-making on lap 5? Do you come in or not?
You know, we were up front. I wanted to be up front anyway. Not coming in, it was kind of, you know, do it, don't do it. Obviously, that sent me to the back over the long course of the long run. But, you know, we got back up here like we wanted to, and I feel like we're in a good position for this last little shootout here, no matter what happens.
So you've got the guys around you. You've got them all either out your windshield or down to the left side of you. How do you get by them here and get this race win? You just got under 30 laps to go.
That's the question, isn't it? You know, we're just going to throw our best at her and see what we got here. Like I said, these guys are quick, so it'll just be whoever, if we stay green, it'll be whoever maintains their tires best right until the end. And hopefully that's something I can do and stay right up with them.
Well, Matt, best of luck to you here in the next 7 laps or so. We'll see if we're talking to you in a little while.
Thanks, guys.
That's Matt Grenier out of Team New England lining up in 4th place. Currently actually in 3rd because of the way they're staggered with Ryan Kendall. Yet again, taking the top side seems to be the popular choice, and I'm glad we give the leaders that option to take the top side on these restarts. With this restart, we want to take a chance real quickly to mention Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup at Cryo Man, and Whiplash Media, making this possible for all of us and all of you, as Ryan Kendall gets a great restart off into 1. Matt Grenier, we just talked to him. He gets it a 2nd for the moment, but battling with Alan Dobbs.
And this will be the restart that puts Alan Dobbs back in the picture. And we're going to have a really fun fight here between most of the top 5. And they're already closing up on race leader Ryan Kendall. So we could very quickly have a 5-way fight here for the race lead.
Yeah, Adam Lancaster also following suit with that top line. Seems to be the way to go. Almost, I almost thought they were going to go 3 wide there, but they thought better of it. Alan Dobbs trying to use that bottom, but Matt Grenier going to go to the top side and be almost side by side with Ryan Kendall.
What a move from the 15. He noses ahead off into turn 3. The top side feels a little bit better for all these guys. Wow, a bump from Robertson actually going to shove Lancaster out ahead, but they're wrecking behind. Oh, I don't know what just happened. Jack Bauer was in it. We saw John Kinder in there as well. There is going to be a caution flag for a spinning Joshua Abbey. Looks like more are involved. We're trying to track all of it down. Oh, no. Justin Winters. Tons of damage to the 52 car. We'll take a look back and see what happens. The 48 was in the midst of all this, and this is where all of this starts. You see, Robertson shoves the 28. There's a checkup on the bottom. Kinder gives a shot in the shorts to the 48 of Bauer, and then they all check up. Wiggin runs over the 46, and oh my.
Very simply, it looked like a product of having to get aggressive this late in the race. You only have so much time to be able to make up spots. Unfortunately, some of the people that lose didn't really cause the initial incident. It's a little, gonna have to probably see it one more time, but yeah, definitely a little bit of a clip of the apron for Jack Bauer. And we're starting to see the effects of this cooling of the racetrack. We're seeing really tight pack racing now as we get later into the race, and it looks like, yeah, a little bit of the apron for Bauer, and then some of the guys that get collected as a result. Oh, my apologies there. He does get a little bit of contact, which then does send him onto the apron.
Yeah, looking further back from watching Wes Wiggin, we're going to see another look at that here. Going into 3, looks like he did get hit, as we did confirm. And then, obviously, a little bit of a stack up there. Wes Wiggin had nowhere to go. So you see him down on the apron there. Wiggin nowhere to go. and that just stacks it up. More contact. Joshua Abbey and Justin Winters hard in the outside wall. The 55 also involved.
This is easily one of the biggest wrecks I think we've seen at Charlotte Motor Speedway for sure. And we've seen some big ones even this afternoon. Justin Winters gets blindsided here by Joshua Abbey. We'll watch it from Winters on board. You see everything stacking up ahead. Kinder gives the shot to Jack Bauer. Everything's checking up. Of course, you want to be in the throttle, but Winters makes a great initial decision of checking up. Can't say the same. I mean, I can't blame anybody for trying to get through that with speed, but you can't say the same for Joshua Abbey and more. Nicholas Noggle, he gets up in that and he makes hard contact with the 52 of Justin Winters as well, and we'll watch the TV view of a bunch more of this. I mean, this is absolute carnage down the front stretch. It's just what happens when everybody's doing a few things a bit differently. Of course, everybody's lifting here or there, and the or part is what really changes things up. Wow, what a vicious hit for Noggle.
Yeah, a lot of hard hits all around. And yeah, the big thing for Winters, I think, is it's very hard to anticipate when or if you're going to see cars come back up onto the racetrack. As you said, very good job of checking up, but at a certain point you have to say, oh, I probably do have to pick up the pace to try to bail out of here, and that probably was his thought process. And then, yes, of course, nowhere to go. We will get a different perspective here of Nicholas Noggle. He's a decent ways back from the accident, clipping a little bit of the grass, and at this point, yeah, he doesn't have too much of an option. You could say maybe he can go to the outside line, but when he had to make the decision to rather go through the grass or go to the outside line, that portion of the racetrack was completely blocked off.
Yeah, being in that situation where the track's blocked off, it reiterates what we were saying earlier. The track is a little more narrow than some of its intermediate track counterparts, and unfortunately just running out of room and not having anywhere to go, just catching the short end of the stick rather there is just rather unfortunate coming to the latter half of this race, and was shaping up for some of these guys to have a really good finish. Like Joshua Abbey was up into the top 10, I believe, and then just, got caught up in that, and now his race is over.
And he's not the only one. Again, guys like Justin Winters, Nicholas Noggle going to exit the facility after that one. Really, really big hits back there. CJ Mason got a big piece of it as well. Would not be surprised if the 55 is done for the afternoon. But guys, we have seen a wild day here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we've still got 20 laps to go. It is getting a bit late, but boy, these guys are really having some amazing racing. As long as they keep off of one another, when they're going side by side, sometimes 3 wide like that, boy, it is some great battling. And as controversial as this NASCAR package may be, this is exactly what it was designed to do. And I think it does it great here on the iRacing.com simulator. You're able to run side by side really, really competitively and really, really effectively. You have great draft battles. You have great big moves. It provides, at the very least, exciting stuff here on the iRacing.com sim at these tracks like Charlotte Motor Speedway, where this kind of package was initially introduced for the All-Star race back in, 2018?
Yeah, I believe it was 2015 with a bit more reduced horsepower, somewhere in the 450 horsepower range, which is what NASCAR ran at restrictor plate tracks with utilizing restrictor plates in the cars for so many years before they upped it for most of I believe all of the 2020 season, and then partially with the 2019 season following the Daytona 500. But no, I think the biggest thing that you can see as a spectator is just the fact that the tall spoilers make it so easy to slipstream on the straightaways, and then by giving that opportunity to slipstream up the guys, it makes it so much easier to create overtaking opportunities on the corners.
We'll be coming to yet another restart. It's lap 180 of 200. We're going to be taking 20 laps to go, this time by the stripe and at this drop of the green flag. It's Grenier, Lancaster, Robertson, Kendall, Dobbs, Barlow, Kinder, Bauer, Shirk Jr., and somehow Nathan Maurer back into the top 10 for this restart. Again, 20 laps to go once they take this green flag. You see the pace car well out and ahead. He will turn down to the safety of pit lane. You see the entire field lining up under the North Carolina sunset, ready to go at it for 20 more laps The final 10th of this race is underway. Matt Grenier with a big restart over Adam Lancaster, but not as big a restart as we've seen out of many others. Robertson down to the bottom side of the 28. He's going to try and take that spot away. We have not talked much about the 2 car, but he's suddenly right back into the fray. The 68 of Kendall, he's in there as well.
Yeah, it seems like Robertson's been running in that place on a racetrack where he doesn't get a lot of attention from broadcasters, and that's around the back end of the top 10. Yeah, it can be a very quiet place. Nothing wrong with that, because he's in the place to execute late in the race, and that's where a lot of the points pay out, even if we do have stages here. So he'll continue to battle with Lancaster side by side for the second spot, but they've been doing an excellent job of closing up on race leader Matt Grenier, thanks in part to that really tall spoiler.
Nose to tail down the backstretch. Grenier still leading, but here comes Robertson down to the bottom side. Teammates battling for the race win here in 18 more laps. A slow car there on the bottom. No harm, no foul, and they'll keep racing this thing out. Again, it's the 15 of Grenier over the 2 of Robertson. Adam Lancaster there. He's fighting to the outside of the 2 car. He wants second place. He restarted second, but quickly dropped down to third, and since then, these 3 have held things tight. And actually, Lancaster's teammate is in here as well. You see Kinder, he's going to look to the inside of Lancaster. He wants that 3rd spot, and I'd say that's a great move from those 2 teammates. John Kinder's got a great machine underneath him. That 21 car has been fast.
Yeah, he's doing an excellent job of keeping the pace up throughout the entire night, and now we're seeing that he's in a really good position to take advantage and potentially come away with the win. And he said he'd be very happy with the win, but of course do have to keep the points picture in mind. So I wouldn't necessarily see him making any dive bomb moves with the ultimate goal of getting a race win or nothing. But he's definitely in a good spot regardless to pick up a lot of points and maintain that gap to try to pick up the regular season championship. But we do have a 3-way fight, and if Adam Lancaster can get his momentum back going again, which he has done, we could very well have a 4-way fight.
You see, he's made up a couple spots since that restart has gone underway. Adam Lancaster, as you just mentioned, right on the back end, just about, of John Kinder, who is trying to make his way up past Brandon Robertson to the point where Matt Grenier is currently sitting. Coming to 15 laps to go, you see he's getting a little bit of a run, had to check up a little bit there so he wouldn't run into the back of him. He's going to go to that outside line and try to use that surge, try to get out of turn 2, maybe pull away and run down that 15 machine.
Into 1 goes Kinder on the right rear of the 2 car of Robertson. You have to wonder if Brandon Robertson, with that win in his pocket, is maybe just trying to hold off the 21 and 28 to help his teammate out. Now he's going to go right back down to the bottom side and try and fend off that 21. Right on the right rear was John Kinder, so close to making contact. But again, I think Brandon Robertson's just trying to create a pocket, a gap, a cushion here for Matt Grenier and trying to do his teammate a service. But John Kinder wants none of it. John Kinder wants nothing but a race win at this point. Granted, yes, he's points racing, but if you have a chance to get on by somebody, you've got to take it.
Of course, that's the name of the game in racing. You ultimately do want to go for the win, and he does have some very good allies behind him as well, which is going to make it very interesting as we go to the end of this one. And looking at timing and scoring right now, we have 7 cars in a single file line, and they're all within a second of each other. And I think any one of these guys, if they're able to make the correct moves, can come away with a win. Of course, it's going to take a lot of work if you're, say, Ronnie Short Jr., but you're in that spot if certain things go your way to be able to get out there and claim the victory. It's still Matt Grenier with about 12 and a half laps to go.
Matt Grenier definitely using his resources there on the restart to maintain a gap, but as we mentioned before, having his teammate behind him is definitely Brandon Robertson hits the wall. So much for having that pocket and having your teammate behind you. Lancaster and John Kinder are gonna be able to get through that. Casey Barlow also following suit, so they're gonna have a 3-4 car train catching up to Matt Grenier, who's got about half a second gap now.
That puts Jack Bauer into 5th place, so still a top 5 run possible for the 48 car. He's got to get by Barlow for 4th, and then really, I'm not so sure that there's 3 cars up ahead wouldn't be even with those 48. I mean, we've seen so many guys just kind of stall out when racing one another. I mean, for example, we no longer see the 68 up here of Ryan Kendall. Where did he go? Well, he's 11th place, and I mean, written out of this thing, it's so hard to really get going. If you have the tires on the cars ahead, yes, you can make those passes. But otherwise, if you're anywhere near, I think within a lap or so of a pit strategy, it's so hard to pass because you get locked in these side-by-side battles and you end up wearing your stuff out. That might even be what's happening here to John Kinder and Adam Lancaster, the teammates that are trying to work together to get either one of those two a race win. Kinder won a few times last season. Lancaster won at Talladega. Well, a caution will come out, and we're going to rewrite this entire script. Incredible stuff. I'm not so sure who this yellow is. Oh, well, there we go. It's Wes Wiggin, the number 88 car.
Wiggin has had a partial part in a couple of incidents tonight, I think. I remember the one time he was drifting down the back straightaway and did an excellent job of saving his car. Looks like a little bit of contact from Michael Brisson. And I don't think that might have necessarily been anyone's fault. There was a little bit of a slowing of momentum, and he just didn't quite slow down the car rather enough. And it's going to be Wiggin who ends up being the big loser in this particular instance.
So fighting here with Ryan Kendall, and it looks like Kendall's starting to have some tire issues. Maybe didn't save himself a set, and was on some older ones here. That holds up the 88, and Brisson just gets into the back of Wes Wiggin, and then Wes Wiggin tries to correct, and boy, Alan Dobbs is happy. He has got a great brake sponsor because he had to use him up right there to miss the 88 as the 88 came back up the racetrack like that. That was one heck of an overcorrection. But now the question is, what do these drivers do up front? Matt Grenier sitting in P1. Does anybody have a set of tires? We talked with John Kinder. He said he should, but nobody, it looks like. Gonna pit? Do we have any takers? Brandon Robertson barely misses the pit wall. He's gonna come in. He wants possibly 4 tires and fuel, I'd imagine. And what if Ryan Kendall then makes this stop to get 4 tires, because he's come in. Alan Dobbs as well. So we have 3 guys that could have a lot of pace if they have tires in the bank. Let's check on Ryan Kendall first. Do the right sides go up? Yes. So Ryan Kendall with tires left over. What about Robertson? Does he have tires? Yes. Does Alan Dobbs? Yes. All 3 with tires. Look out for the 2 to 3 in the 68.
They're going to have the fresh Goodyear tires. The only thing that won't be in their favor is time. We're probably going to only have about 5 or 6 laps of regulation green flag running when we get back going. And of course, they have to hope that they don't get a caution flag. But with the tire fall off we've been seeing tonight, a second and a half, even 2 seconds, they might be in a position where they are able to make their way up through the field. It's just a matter of doing it quickly and efficiently for these guys. And the other, really interesting thing to see was that I think most of these guys do have an additional set of tires. It's just that they didn't want to sacrifice that track position. But we see a lot of guys hinting at going down to the pit road. And I believe it was Robertson that was the first one of the 3 or 4 to come down.
Yeah, Brandon Robertson was the one leading that pack. And looking back there, it looks like he had a 14 to 15 second pit stop. So he was able to salvage a full set of tires. So he's going to come back out with 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. But unfortunately, I don't know if he will have enough time to do so, as he looks like he's going to round out starting in 11th.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in so far this evening. Looking over to the YouTube chat, big thank you to Joe Donahue tuning in, and condolences go out to the Donahue family. Joe, we're so happy to have you with us in some way, shape, or form. I know it's been a rough week, but hey, Joe is honestly one of the best guys. We talk about this throughout our PitStop TV group. Joe is honestly one of the best guys, deserve nothing but the best. And unfortunately, those rough weeks come to everybody. Yet he's still out here, even though he's not in the booth, coming out here and still watching through the YouTube chat. That's just fantastic. It's really, really good to see him out there and to be able to talk to him a little bit. Matt Grenier does lead this race. We're coming to 6 laps to go this time at the restart. We should be at 5 to go, which is going to give us one hell of a sprint, boys. This is going to be a classic, old-fashioned sprint to the finish. The previous 190 laps out the window at this point. We've got what we've got. Everybody's got whatever tires are on their car. I mean, sure, we could have a caution flag to hold things back up, but at this point, I mean, we've actually had pretty decent runs throughout most of the race. I wouldn't be surprised if we get to that white flag before carnage is unleashed upon the old beast of the Southeast. We're coming to 6 laps to go. Trey Shuttlesworth, who do you put your money on?
Fortunately for me, I'm not putting any legitimate money on this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in myself, quite frankly. We've seen the leader have an absolutely massive advantage on these restarts, but I think we have the range of laps here. It's going to be 5 to go, where those guys that can challenge are going to have an opportunity to pass if they have the pace. The only thing is that Matt Grenier was really able to save his tires because he wasn't side by side at all. So I think Matt Grenier can do it at this point.
I gotta agree with Shuttlesworth there. I'm not really a betting man, but if I had to put money on it, I think Matt Grenier has definitely got the tires because he was able to save since he wasn't doing all that side-by-side action. So as long as he's able to get a good jump and maybe maintain a gap there and hopefully a caution doesn't come out, I think it's going to play out in his favor because I don't think anybody further back with Robinson and any of them are going to have enough time to get up with those fresh tires.
Everybody watching over on Facebook, Twitter, share, retweet this. This is going to be one heck of a finish. Coming to 5 laps to go here momentarily. How about a shout out to Hayes Booth out there in the chat as well. Matt Grenier is the race leader. John Kinder, second place. Then it's Adam Lancaster, Casey Barlow, Jack Bauer, Ronnie Shirk Jr., Nathan Maurer, Bryce Hunter, Nick Mills, Michael Brisson in the top 10 as well. We're coming out of turn number 4 for what could be the final green flag of the evening. 2 Ford Mustangs on that front row. Waiting for that restart zone. They hit the Geico restart zone, and they are off and away. Matt Grenier, though, does not get too far ahead of the 21 of John Kinder. It's going to be one heck of a race down this backstretch.
Yeah, that might have been the worst advantage that a leader's pulled on the restart the entire night. And now if John Kinder has the pace, now is the time for show it. In the least, he is making Matt Grenier probably compromise his entry. You see Matt Grenier look to the inside to try to make it so that Kinder goes to the outside. So there's still going to be single file through the exit of 3 and 4. Kinder looking to build up the momentum off of 4 to try to challenge.
See, the thing is now we've seen further on earlier on during the race, the outside line has been prominent earlier on, but now that the track temp has gone down, I don't know if the outside line is the way to go. Matt Grenier holding that bottom line, still on the point. Lancaster behind him, not able to do much right now. Kinder still trying to follow suit as we're coming to 3 laps to go.
Air temp has held about steady, but you mentioned the track temp coming down. It's come down 7 total degrees since the start of the race. 3 laps to go, this time by the stripe. Boy, what a finish this could be. John Kinder, Adam Lancaster, Casey Barlow, and more are setting for one heck of a run to this 15 car.
Yeah, it's only going to be about, I want to say, 4.5 miles left as we come onto the back straightaway. The gap has stabilized between the top 2, so I have to wait and see if Kinder has any more pace under his car. He really dives in on the entry, turn 3, looks at the bottom, looking to utilize a little bit of clean air. He's going to wash up on the exit a little bit more than Grenier. Still about the same gap, but still about 0.2 of a second. It's only going to be 3 miles to the checkered flag.
Coming across the stripe, as you mentioned, 3 miles left. Still got about 0.2 of a second. You see further on back, they got a pack back there for about the fourth spot on back. Further on contact, you see Jack Bauer right there with Casey Barlow, Brandon Robertson, and Alan Dobbs trying to make his way into the top 5. He's going to have contact. Alan Dobbs to the outside wall.
The white flag is going to fly regardless. This restart is official. No green-white checkered at Charlotte. Despite what happens in the back end, this is it. The final mile and change for Matt Grenier. Can he get his first career win in the Bluegrass iRacing Series? 1/2 of a lap, 3/4 of a mile for Matt Grenier at Charlotte Motor Speedway. John Kinder in tow. Through 3 and 4, the 15 is going to hold steady. The 15 is going to hold tough. And much like those snap-on tools fueling that 15 car, Matt Grenier is going to win at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
It might have been really quiet between the top 2 there going to the finish, but a lot of fun behind them to settle the rest of the top 5 positions. I believe they were side by side coming to the line for the 3rd position. It's going to be Brandon Robertson by about 7 milliseconds, 0.7 of a second. Oh, some contact between the top 2 there.
I think that was respectful contact, but oh man, both of those cars. Oh, and now they'll wreck him. I think this is trying to congratulate Grenier, but I think it's backfiring.
in the least, we saw an excellent show from a lot of drivers. There were a lot of drivers who made their presence known for the lead, and even to go far as, everyone was in the top 10 at some point tonight. Just a lot of fun throughout the night.
What an absolute show tonight, boys. These guys did not disappoint. Coming from last week, last week didn't have a lot of cautions, but, we had a little bit more today, but it didn't make the show less interesting. If anything, it made it one to watch, and Matt Grenier ends up on top tonight with an absolute fantastic show tonight and well-deserved victory for him.
What a show from Matt Grenier. He's going to burn it down. I said the Snap-on tools fuel, and I suppose it'd be work on that number 15 car as opposed to fuel it. And the 15 looking pretty good here. Not a scratch on it, I don't think, aside from whatever bumps he was given after the line. Kept that car in pristine condition up until the very last lap, and finally gets his first win on not only this very young second season for the Bluegrass iRacing series, but in his Bluegrass career. How about that? We have yet another first-time winner. Big stuff here for the 15 of Matt Grenier, and we will step away. We'll take our normal post-race break, and we'll be right back to you momentarily as Matt Grenier burns it down at Charlotte.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
We welcome you back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Boy, what a picturesque setting. The North Carolina sunset looking nice and beautiful over this. Barely lit at this point in time. It's still part of the replay, but the lights came on right at the end. Perfect timing for a heck of a finish that it was with John Kinder, Matt Grenier, and more. We'll talk to the latter of which right now is Matt Grenier. We talked to you just before the end of the race on one of those final cautions. Buddy, you held tough, you held true, and you come out of this thing with your first win of not only the season, but the series.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say right now. I am so ecstatic. I'm just all that hard work that goes into it, and it paid off, and it just feels so good.
That's absolutely appropriate. After all those races, those close calls, and honestly, you had a couple of races last season that you should have won. You finally get it done. How did you do it? What was it coming down to there with John Kinder breathing down your neck?
I think it comes down to tires. We worked a lot this week on being fast, but also knowing how to manage the tires as well. And John Kinder helped in that, so I got to thank him for that. But I kept them under me. I didn't burn them up, and they were there when it counted.
I'll give you one more question here before we let you go. Now that you have this win in your pocket, you look forward to a place like Road America next week. How does this change your outlook on the season?
You know what? It doesn't. We're racing for a championship. This is going to help along the way. We're part of that. But I need points. I need the stage points, and I want more wins. This feels good. I got to admit, it feels good, and I got to get more.
36 laps led. You get the job done. Who made it happen for you?
I got to thank Team New England, Brandon Robertson, Wyatt Brackett, David Brackett. We worked well as a team tonight with strategy, and those guys were real supportive towards the end and getting me to the end. Obviously, got to thank my buddy Chris and Eric at home watching, my parents, my girlfriend, and got to thank Bluegrass. Obviously, Nick and Jason do a great job, and you guys for putting on a fantastic broadcast. I cannot wait to watch this one back.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we're talking to you possibly next week after Road America as well.
Hope so. Thanks, guys.
Matt Grenier finally gets the job done. A big first win of his Bluegrass iRacing Series career, but just barely ahead of second place John Kinder. In Trey Shuttlesworth, it came down to the narrowest of margins, but somebody had to be the first loser. It's John Kinder.
And yeah, John Kinder looked like he just quite didn't have the pace. Was very close to Matt Grenier. How does it feel, John, to walk away from 300 miles with the second place tonight?
It's like kissing your sister, man. We had a pretty decent run, but just took too long to get around the two car. Burned my tires up a little bit.
Still good enough for a strong points finish. Just wondering, John, what's your practice regimen look like considering your strong pace tonight? Qualified up in the top 10, and then you were able to execute for most of the night.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of the guys this week with Matt and Casey and Adam, Justin. We all kind of worked together during the week, practice, and kind of had good race pace. Dobbs had a real good race pace, so we knew he was going to be tough. But it was nice to see Matt get a win. It was kind of cool. It was two teammates, me and Adam, and Matt and Brandon all kind of bet on it out for the win. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to watch up here in the booth, and I'm sure everyone watching at home really enjoyed it. So, John, that's about all I have for you. Anyone you want to thank out there for your second place tonight?
Just like to thank my teammates, Adam and Casey and Ronnie Shirk, Matt and Wyatt, Brackett. We all kind of worked on trying to make each other fast so we could put on a good show. And I'd like to thank Rims One, Ghostface Brewing, of course you guys up in the booth, and Bluegrass for putting on a heck of a series.
All right, thank you, John, and we'll see you next week at Road America then.
All right, man, I appreciate it.
That was John Kinder, finishes second place tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Up next, we're going to bring in third place finisher Brandon Robertson. So Brandon had a little bit of a rocky start going in tonight. We saw him miss pit road. I'm not sure if he was trying to go in or got a little bit loose trying to go down. But nonetheless, you went spinning through the grass and had a little bit of a penalty. And, you ended up being able to rebound from that. You started third, and now you finished third by about 7 thousandths of a second. Just talk us through the run real quick and just tell us how it was going to the end there.
Yeah, man, I don't know what happened there. I really messed up that first stage completely. I was trying to save fuel and try to make it on fuel. I was running on fumes. I was running like half throttle around the track, and I was staring at my my pit fuel range, and I just had a memory lapse coming out of 4 and got it sideways and went through the grass, and then I pretty much was like, well, I'm just going to pit while I'm over here and take whatever penalty I get. And then, the caution comes out. I still pit, went a lap down, and I'm glad we end up coming back from it.
As we see here on our replay, we see you edging out Lancaster at the line. Very, very close there. I mean, did you think you had anything going on, maybe potentially for that victory? Because it looks like you had a little bit left rear damage, so I didn't know if that was maybe holding you back a little bit.
Honestly, that's about as good as it could have went for me. I think we started with Alan Dobbs on the 6th or 7th row. There was a lot of cars in front of us. I think both of us were on new tires, and everybody else had 15 or 20 lap-old tires. And my goal was just to go wherever the cars weren't and to keep it full throttle as much as possible. And if the cars went low, I'd just tail it in high, full throttle, and keep the momentum up. So yeah, that toward the end with Adam there, I knew he was gonna try something, because I had a head of steam, and I was just gonna go where he was, and I'm glad he didn't try to fire it down in there. I didn't need to go into the grass again, so I appreciate that he races clean.
Well, clean racing always provides something for the viewers to watch, and it worked out for you there, edging him out by 7 thousandths of a second. That's about all I got for you. So before I let you go, who do you have to thank, and what do we expect from you next week at Road America?
Well, first off, I'm so excited that Matt won. I remember when Matt got iRacing, I kind of coaxed him into it. So I remember when he couldn't even run 1 or 2 laps at Pocono on the trucks the first time I ran with him. So he's come a long way, and congrats to him on the victory for sure. And as far as Road America goes, the goal is to win that race. I know Casey's going to be tough. Justin was extremely strong at the Roval last year. Justin. John was extremely strong. So I think there's going to be some people that put in a lot of practice, and we'll see who has the best car. But it's going to be a long race, I'll tell you that.
It'll definitely be more of an endurance style event. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you next week, and good luck, and hopefully you can carry this momentum and do something with it, man.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you as well. That is our third place finisher, Brandon Robertson.
And we'll move down the line now to fourth place finisher Adam Lancaster. And Adam, we don't get a chance to talk to you a whole lot, but you put yourself right in the middle of that race-ending battle with John Kinder, with Matt Grenier, with Brandon Robertson, and the latter of which just barely beats you to the line for third place. What happened there at the end?
Just used the tires up a lot. Everybody's pushing real hard right there at the end, and those last few cycles on the tires were just pushing hard, and just tight. Got tight there, and I told Brandon after the race, I said, man, I thought about going down there in 3 and 4 and just parking it in the center of the corner and making you go around me on the top, but we didn't. Got a little tight there. I hate to give up a position, coming to the checkered like that, but all in all, a fourth place finish, considering how my season has gone thus far, I'll take it.
And Adam, of course, you've got a great teammate there in John Kinder, and you guys have been working with some others as well. How do you feel going into a place like Road America next week?
Well, we've done a lot of testing there, and I actually feel really good about it. have a little spoiler for you. Casey's going to be very good there. He's really good, and we've all been chasing him. So we've had some good test sessions there, and feel fairly confident in what we need to do, and feel like we can have a pretty good run there if we can stay on the racetrack.
Well, you mentioned Casey Barlow. He's up next for us to talk to real quick. Thank you so much for your time after the race here, Adam. Best of luck to you next week.
All right, thank you.
That's Adam Lancaster finishing in that photo finish with Brandon Robertson. But I'll hand Casey Barlow down to Trey Shuttlesworth.
So, Casey Barlow, you were pretty consistently in the top 10 and 15 throughout much of the night. A lot happened, and you're able to walk away with 6th place finish. Are you happy with what you're able to take away from tonight?
Yeah, for how we qualified, I'm happy with that race finish.
All right, that's fair enough. And then two-part question here. What did your practice regimen look like coming into Charlotte? And then what are you planning to do ahead of Road America next week?
Well, practice regimen for Charlotte, just jumped in, as many as the Bluegrass practice races as I can. I like to try and get as much practice with these guys as possible, just because, we're only continue to get better around each other, be able to race each other better. As far as my prep for Road America, to be honest with you, I love road courses. So for me, it's all about just keeping myself on the track there. I feel like I'll have the speed to run up towards the front at a road course, especially Road America. It's just a matter of me staying clean.
All right, Casey, I think that's about all I have for you. Is there anyone you want to thank out there for your 6th place effort tonight?
Yeah, I just want to start by thanking the guys there at Angry Motorsports, John, Adam, Ronnie, and the other guys. Justin, always is fun to run with those guys and get some help there. Big shout out to my dad and my family, and Bluegrass iRacing and PitStop TV.
All right, thank you, Casey. Congratulations on 6th place, and have a good night.
Thank you, guys. You too.
It's Casey Barlow. He'll finish 6th place tonight here in the Bluegrass iRacing Series.
Finishes 6th place in what I think Trey Shuttlesworth has to be written down as one of, if not the most exciting race to date in the Bluegrass iRacing Series. Sometimes these long, grueling races at Charlotte Motor Speedway, they don't always excite, but this one sure did in so many ways. Action through and through, so many storylines to cover. Let's talk about the culmination of said storylines. Winning, it's Matt Grenier finally getting that first win on his Bluegrass iRacing Series repertoire. John Kinder finishes 2nd place behind him. Then it's Brandon Robertson, Adam Lancaster, Ryan Kendall making up your top 5. Casey Barlow, we just talked to him. He checks in at 6th. Jack Bauer finishes 7th after yet another amazing run. He doesn't quite get the race win it looked like he should have had, but he does beat out Alan Dobbs, Ronnie Shirk Jr., and Bryce Hunter, all within the top 10.
And then we look beyond the top 10. The first car to finish outside of the top 10, Nathan Maurer. He had some really strong runs at certain points of the race. He'll walk away with a decent amount of points with that 11th place result, followed by Nick Mills, who will finish in the 12th place position. It was his debut tonight. David Barmer is able to walk away with a lead lap finish in the 13th spot, followed by Michael Brisson, and then Mitch Smith rounds out your top 15. Wes Wiggin, the first car to finish on the lead lap, he'll finish in 16th, followed by CJ Mason, who seemed to be in quite a few incidents, but he's still able to walk away with a 17th place spot tonight. And I think the same can be said for Daniel Worthington, who finishes 2 laps down in the 18th spot, followed by Wyatt Brackett, and then Dakota Shepard rounds out your top 20.
Finishing 21st, we have Brian Terry 6 laps down. 22nd, Gary Jaworski. 23rd, Ed Osborne. Joshua Abbey after that late race incident with putting him out, finishing 24 laps down in 24th. Justin Winters in 25th. Nicholas Noggle 26th. Scott Fritz 27th. David Brackett 28th. Ryan Smith 29th. And in 30th, we have Michael Oxett in 30th. And rounding out the rest of our field, we have Tyler Reed in 31st. Dylan Butler 32nd. And Matt Trineri 33rd.
33 cars take the green flag. They didn't all finish. You see 183 laps down there for Trineri, but the ones who did make it to the end certainly made things exciting through and through. Guys, I've not seen a race quite like that in quite a while, especially at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's a great facility, but man, sometimes just the abrasiveness, how hard this track really is to race, ends up, spreading the field out. You end up having one of those races where you've got to just stick through it, and it was exactly that, I think, for 150 laps, and then suddenly it became a bunch of restarts, a bunch of sprints to the end, and things really, really shook up. Certainly, I think, still a level of attrition, but it became a different kind of attrition.
Yeah, Andrew, I think the good thing about tonight's race is that it played well as both a long-term strategy race, and like you said, the sprints to the end at the end of the race were absolutely enthralling, and we kept getting these late race yellows, which it wasn't just a yellow where you re-racked them and restacked them. It was yellow flags that, greatly shook up the race strategy tonight. Very unpredictable, and the competition throughout the field was incredibly exciting. We had a really first-time winner who definitely proved himself tonight, and a lot of strong showings from a lot of strong drivers. And we're going to head into another unpredictable venue. It's going to be I believe it's the lone road course of the season. I may be incorrect, but it will for sure be the first time that Bluegrass iRacing Series visits the Road America circuit.
I believe they have one more stop at a road course in the. I think they're coming back to Charlotte for the Roval back into the playoffs. But having a road course on next week will definitely throw everything for a loop. We might see some stronger guys next week, and we may not see run up front every week. So it's definitely going to be one to watch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Don't overlook Watkins Glen. We've got 3 road courses on this 16-race schedule. We extend it by 4 races, 2 of which are road courses, definitely going to shake things up. Before we go, of course, we want to mention the series partners, Rims One Wheels, Tires, and Accessories, based in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Miller Media and Design, fixing these guys up with a nice looking logo, a bunch of nice looking paint schemes out there as well, certainly putting in some great hard work on account of the Bluegrass iRacing Series. We also want to get back to thanking our partners here at PitStop TV, Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. You provide the image you want, and they will custom create a beautiful framed high-quality canvas with a built-in Bluetooth speaker. With Sound Art, you get the best of both worlds. Visit TucsonSoundArt.com for additional information and to order using PitStop TV, as the promo code to get 10% off of your purchase. So, if you just came into some money with the holiday season passing up, got a little bit of Christmas money, don't know what to do with it, by all means, check these guys out, TucsonSoundArt.com. It's a wonderful product. Trey Patton can now vouch for me as I was vouching for them. It's a great product, sounds great, looks great, certainly worth every penny. We also want to give a big shout out again to Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Check them out at permanentmakeupinmaine.com. Call or text them at 207-358-8683 or check out their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. We also want to give a big shout out to Whiplash Media, handling a lot of the back end stuff. There's a lot of work that goes into making these broadcasts look the way they do, work and look right. Whiplash Media can handle everything for you in that aspect. And boys, what a race it was. Once again, I just can't speak enough on the amazing race that this was, the amazing product we received this evening from the Bluegrass iRacing Series. There have been some rough races to get through on occasion, but this makes up for all of them. Legitimately one of, if not the best race we've seen from these Bluegrass iRacing Series drivers. Very excited to see where the rest of the season goes. Looking forward to a place like Road America in 1 week's time. Then we've got North Wilkesboro, Atlanta Motor Speedway, New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, and Darlington. A lot of great times up ahead for the Bluegrass iRacing Series, but that does conclude our coverage tonight of the Bluegrass iRacing Series. We thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Be sure to tune in Saturday for the Elwood Motorsports iRacing Karting Challenge, Sunday for the LTAC Cup Series season opener at Daytona, and again through the rest of next week's festivities, including the BRP iRacing Series, the Pacific Challenge GT3 Series, and the Bluegrass iRacing Series next Wednesday from Road America. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStopTV, on Twitter at PitStopTV_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Pit_Stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/C/PitStopTV1. For all of us at PitStop TV, Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton with me on the mic this evening, Corey Rexford on social media, I'm Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you, and we will see you next time.